Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Pylon Show. I believe that this is number 40. The big 4-0. We're having the Pylon Show midlife crisis. First meaning that we're going to cancel the show on episode number 8. Don't tell Jeff. Okay, so Jeff, of course, not here this week. He is over in Katowice, which will be our main topic. Before we go around and introduce everyone, I do want to give a big shout out to our sponsors. First and foremost, AFKT. Check them out at afkt.com. I drink it. I love it. It's great tea. You can use the discount code Pylon for 15% off. Of course, run and owned by Lycan, a longtime community member. So check it out. Also, we have Matcherino. They've actually redone the site a little bit, so it looks slightly different from before. But this is a great way to support the Pylon Show, and Matcherino supports us, of course. But now you have to actually click the contribute button. This week's code is strawberry. Why is it strawberry? It must be National Strawberry Day.
It's the superior fruit by far.
That's true. I've had many a Twitter argument about this, about people who think that grapes are better than strawberries. What? Idiots. It's so crazy. It's so crazy. I don't even want to get into it again. It would take up more time than we have on the show. Anyways, definitely check out Matcherino, and big thanks to them. And last but not least, our Patreon. You guys have been fantastic supporting us over on Patreon. If you want to support the Pylon Show, this is probably the best way to do it. Check out patreon.com/ThePylonShow. And that's great. Helps us to do things like pay ourselves and pay our guests. So there you go. That's all that. Let's go ahead and introduce our guests. First, back once again, No Regret. How you doing?
Doing great, buddy. Thanks for having me for
and do you know what?
20th time.
I know you've been on here so much, it's crazy. And Jeff's not here. I'm going to leave you alone about the shoe. There you go.
Oh my God, really?
Yeah.
Don't worry,
yeah.
I won't.
But next time you're here, probably Jeff will be here.
I just start banning people in my chat now. I'm just like, fuck it. I would go through this like explanation process. Like I said I would do it this day or whatever. I just like, fuck it. Like it's banning time. Like I get like 100 messages a day about it. I shit you not.
You should just ignore it. I said I would swallow a sword if San Zenith got out of his group in GSL. People bothered about me for years.
Yeah.
I just ignored it all the time forever.
You mean you didn't swallow a sword? Like, what the fuck?
Well, he was in a group with like Ness T and MVP and like all the big names, and he was like the guy that blocked his Nexus with a cannon, and like he had the most like he was playing like a goober up until that moment, and then but he was the first Protoss that figured out Kadarian Amulet. He was like, I can just warp in Psystorm. There's no problem here, and he just crushed the group.
I feel like mine is very similar.
It's like, well, I'm not going to kill
like
myself.
Rogue getting top 5 in a home story cup group. Like, what the fuck? You know, like totally should have happened, but whatever. It's fine.
Yeah, that's okay. Anyways, now that we've talked about it for a long time, I'll leave it alone. And back once again, we have Fear Dragon. You just got done a cast, right?
Yeah, I was just casting an event that I will talk about later on because it's in This Week in Starcraft, Na Apprentice.
All right.
Yeah. And I also just went full-time into esports and Starcraft and stuff, so that's feels good.
You went full-time?
Kind of. It's like there's a little asterisk that says it's probably only for a couple of months, and I might extend it out a little longer. But yeah, quit my job.
That means you should come to Korea like all the other proper full-time people. I've got a closet with your name on it if you want.
Yeah, if you ever just wanted a mattress on the floor.
You have a closet with my
what context do you want? Closet that you can have.
There's not a lot of context needed there. It's actually just a closet.
to make this completely clear so that people actually understand, No Regret literally actually sleeps in a closet. I'm not joking.
Yeah, well, when we have more people, right now there's 4 rooms.
Oh, okay. I guess
it would be a little weird if there's like 3
that
people and I'm still in the closet. Like,
well, if I were you, I'd just make that closet my own little space. You know, like put my posters up on the wall behind the jacket. You know.
Yeah, it's nice. It's nice in there. Okay.
Indeed. Okay. Well, congratulations, Fear Dragon. It's good to hear. Some more content coming, no doubt. And then for the first time, it took you 40 episodes get on this show. I don't know what that's all about, but welcome, Rapid. How are you doing?
Yeah, you know, I guess we're saving the best for last. I don't know. Thank you so much for having me, Dan. I know I have a notebook over here, and every time you have a Pylon show without me, I write a big frowny face in there. And after I filled up all the pages, there weren't any left, so I had to come on. So
yes.
I'm glad that I can be here and not have the fear of missing out that I have all the other times for Pylon show.
Well, we always like you populating the chat, so I mean,
that's what I'm here. But
you're always partially there.
Now I have everybody else spamming the best copy pasta about me in chat, so they'll take over for me while I'm here answering questions.
All right, excellent. Okay, we're going to start with this week in Starcraft, get through that real quick, and then we're going to go into mostly a Katowice review. I know you guys have been watching quite a bit of it, and we'll kind of go over those games, go over the groups a little bit. We'll go over the GSL Code S round of 16 groups, talk about the round of 8 and round of 4 of ASL, and some roundtable discussion, followed up by the final questions from the Patreon supporters. So without further ado, let's jump into This Week in StarCraft. We'll go through real quick. All right, first up, the Banshee Tournament. We talk about this each and every week on Zombie Grub's channel. You can check this out, a woman-only tournament. And there's going to be guest caster Telia coming up. The last one was won by QB. I believe this was actually last week, so we already kind of went over this, but congratulations. Then we have Ladder Heroes. And you know what? We have just the guy to talk about Ladder Heroes here.
Yeah, Ladder Heroes is back. The monthly finals is still kind of delayed, but yeah, it's gonna be fun. I have one more month left on the Ladder Heroes contract as well, so it's gonna be continuing through March, and then it's a question mark after that. So we'll hope that we can get it renewed.
Excellent. And anything to say about this week? I noticed that Cyril must be playing the ladder because he won EU.
Maybe. So I didn't want to call this out, but like Blizzard's API broke. So there was like this whole thing, and I had to like re-implement a terrible solution, which is not a long-term thing. And because of that, like there's usually like a rule that I have that you have to play at least one game a week. Because if you didn't play a game that week, you don't deserve to earn money that week. But when that whole thing broke, like I had to refresh everyone. So everyone was considered to like have recently played a game. I don't actually know.
One game?
One game minimum.
I'm sure Cyril played one game
on that specific account.
He has nothing left to prove. We don't know that he played any games. Okay, I don't want to. Let's not put our feet in our mouth, shoeless or not. Okay. I couldn't help it. All right. All right. Well, thank you, Fear Dragon. Where can people learn more about that?
You can go to the website www.ladderhero.es.
Yes. Okay.
Ladder Heroes.
You know what, Fear Dragon? Why don't you just take this over for me? What's this next tournament that we're about to talk about in This Week in StarCraft? The Na Apprentice Tournament.
Na Apprentice is really awesome. It's not put on by me. It's put on by Sugar SC2. And the idea was it was literally just about highlighting up and coming Na talent. So anyone that made it to the round of 32 or further of an event in 2018 of a WCS event is not allowed to play. So like Neeb, Scarlet Special, all that stuff. So it's just about like the up and coming players. And last season, Estrella ended up beating Epic. We had some like really fun games. Our Group A was a lot of fun. I actually broadcast that on Monday. I was broadcasting that today, and I'm going to broadcast one game from it tomorrow because 2 players no-showed in Group D. So there's only one game that can be played when you only have 2 players.
I assume BioIce didn't no-show. Or did he?
I think that he showed up.
Yeah, I feel like he never misses.
BioIce and Game Time that showed up, and then Raze and Uko no-showed.
Damn.
Yeah.
Unprofessional.
SMH, these pro gamers.
You know, BioAce and No Regret went to high school together. Isn't that weird?
True.
The same high school? Oh my
Same high
goodness.
school.
The man that made Jake.
It's kind of true. I used to play Protoss. He fucked my life up.
ABC's hard, man.
You know where I'd be right now if I was a Protoss player? I'd be like second
Time
place.
warping everyone.
Fucking. Hey,
You'd be in,
I would be making that work. Okay, fuck off. It would work.
Be in Group A of Katowice.
Yeah.
Oh, for sure. That's where you'd be.
That's where all the Protoss players go.
We'll get to that. We'll get to that. All right, let's continue onwards. The Alpha X Pro Series, casting by Swigar and Falcon Paladin at africatv.com/Alpha X SC2. They've played a few more matches. Uzi Cody 5-0's Hino and Marsman 5-2's Aquarino. The next one is on March 3rd. The Sea Duckling Open is going back and forth between the Bronze to Diamond and the Bronze to Masters tournaments. It looks like there you can check them out on cranky_ducklings on Twitch TV. And the most recent Master Swan Open was won by Saxy Puskas. I don't know why that idea is so funny, but it is. Congratulations to Saxy Puskas. Good choice of drink there. All right, the TESPA Collegiate Series StarCraft 2 Team Brawl is occurring. The qualifiers are going on right now. The San Jose State University went 2-0 against the University of Illinois in qualifier number 1. If you want to check it out, go to tespa.org. Also, a collegiate series going on is the Star League Spring Season from the CSL. And you can check that out on twitch.tv/EGZeno. The next match is going to be on March 2nd.
Does that mean Xenocider is casting it?
Yeah, that's weird.
Well, that's his Twitch channel, so
that's awesome.
So. He's been very quiet for a long time.
Like a very long time.
He was I know he's playing StarCraft because he was on a Discord call and hanging out with Suppy on his stream like maybe last month or something. So I think he's doing something again.
Yeah, some of these people like Xeno and Suppy, you know, it's like they're too busy like doing really well in school and being really good at StarCraft, and I never know like are they active or not or what's going on. I feel a twinge of jealousy.
Yeah, sorry. Suppy only becomes active every time it's the Cheesadelphia because that's the only event that's local for him. So he goes for that and he doesn't want to travel anywhere. I'm like, but you're still so good when you play.
Wow. Yeah. It's fair, I guess. And going to be more of those. We talked about that last week. All right, the ProBots 2019 Season 1 Finals. It looks like Micro Machine defeated Tychus 4-0. And there are some exhibitions going on where some humans are playing against these bots and having a good time. If you want to check that stuff out, you can go to... This website I can't read. It's like mailchi.mp. Okay. Well, check out the the show notes. Those are, of course, linked everywhere that you can watch or listen to this. Okay, the Clash Community Series is still on hold this week. The next one's going to be on March 6th once Rotterdam and Katowice part ways and he can continue to cast more. All right, Thermi Cup number 3 is already being planned. It'll be like at theparty_NL from the 19th to 21st of April. Uthermal, of course, has thrown some of these tournaments before, and they've had some good success. We've talked about them previously on here. If you want to check that out, just kind of check out this here or Liquid Thermi's Uthermal. His ID on Twitter is Liquid Thermi. You can check that out for more information. But if you're local to the Netherlands, you definitely want to go. It looks like a great time. The OSC Esports Sentimiento Latino number 43, a big tournament for that area of the world, everything south of America, I guess, including Central and South America. Eric won this one over eggs. A lot of the big names, but not the very biggest names playing in this Kelliger special. Not playing, but a lot of good players there. If you want to check it out, well, click into the show notes once again. Pizza Pie Biweekly. Estrella, who continues to come up, actually defeated Nicro to win his first pizza. Now, it's something I always like to do is a little fact check who beat Starkiller. It was actually Nicro that beat it. So by that, transitive law of beating people, Estrella beat Starkiller to get his pizza, and that's when it matters. All right. If you want to see more about the Pizza Pie Biweekly, you can check them out over on their challenge page and, of course, through our show notes. Print F continuing his series on Minute Micro, little short videos where he shows you different ways to control. He makes a lot of content, actually. This was number 37, target firing, and he gives it a difficulty of 1 out of 10. Yes, it's not too hard to right click on things. That's, in fact, most esports, that's pretty much all you do. So this is a little part of StarCraft that you can check out, twitch.tv/QuasarPrintF or Quasar Gamers on YouTube. All right, WESG is releasing a few articles. This one is going to be on Ayasanu. He is one of the best Chinese players for a very, very, very long time. You can check that all out at WESG.com. The QSL Quebec Starcraft League we've been advertising for the last couple of weeks. It did finally occur, and it looks like Jig won the first position. He won the tournament and defeated someone called Sac de Fromage, which means bag of cheese.
Want to guess what race he plays?
Well, I mean, this is StarCraft 2, so
Oh, that's right.
Not
Okay.
Zerg, not Zerg. You can throw it off the Terran player, 100%.
Safest given.
Yeah, congrats to them for putting that on. The Quebec StarCraft League looked like a fun time. All right, the Team Liquid map contest number 12 voting is going on. It'll remain open until March 2nd, so that's just a couple days from now. Check that out on teamliquid.net. You can help to influence what maps we're going to see in the future in the pro scene as well as the ladder. Definitely a very important thing that continually goes on. We are going to have that map making episode eventually here. Been meaning to do that for a while. All right. Looks like there was a little article about Cadenzi. I'm not sure where it was, though. I don't see the link here.
It's originally translated into Korean. It was posted on a couple of the most popular Brood War forums like Waigosu and stuff. So it's translated into Korean. And then this is, I guess, the English version, which is, I think, also posted along with it. Yeah.
All right. Well, you can check that out. Of course, for people, I know that this show is a little bit more based on StarCraft 2, but in case you didn't know, she is one of the best non-Korean players and plays in Korea right now. Not like she won the big women's tournament out here and plays very well. She's quite a strong player. So interesting to see some articles popping up about her. All right, this week in Brood War, we have the Star God Ajay League continuing forward. Go Rush and Firebat Hero have been casting it on Africa TV. It's actually been going on a lot of the time at the same time as ASL, which I find a little bit weird. And so I haven't gotten to watch any of it. Have you seen any of it, Rapid? I know you watch a lot of Brood War.
Yeah, no, I watched all of it. Excited to see that not only do they incorporate 2v2s, which is actually like, I know in StarCraft 2, 2v2s is not really played at the highest level of competition, but for Brood War, 2v2 is actually really, really exciting to watch. So if you've never watched that before, it's cool to see actual pro players playing it. And some of the pro players that were never very good at 1v1 were really good at 2v2. And so a little bit of that's going on. Also, my boy Zero, one of the best late game ZVZ players, is back from the military. He's streaming, and he, in the most recent day of a J League broadcast, he had this sick ZVZ versus Calm. And sometimes I think Calm like puts a different brain in his head every day, because there's this thing that Zergs are doing where they go one base and they just text super fast to mutas and then they try to expo after it, and Zero just goes and kills him. He's like, what are you doing, man? It's so good. The games are actually very good. Firebat Hero is the funniest caster. You don't even need to know what he's saying. He's so funny. So really, really sick tournament. And they do a lot of these sort of like BJ or like broadcaster kind of leagues, and that's the one going on right now.
Yeah, looks very cool, and got to echo to get people a little bit excited about it. Some of these 2v2 teams are really kind of legendary. 2v2 is just kind of better in StarCraft 1 than StarCraft 2. It was really big at one point, and just the way StarCraft 1 functions, I think there's more play within it. But yeah, there's like some really, really big names in there, like Nada playing 2v2, Rainbow, who is Hope Torture, the runner-up of GSL Season 1, playing it with Firebat Hero, that commentator you mentioned, who's a very famous guy, and looks like Toss Girl, the greatest woman pro of all time in StarCraft 1, was playing aside Nalra. I mean,
their game,
stuff.
They played a series versus Reach and Chalrenge, which is the dumbest games of StarCraft I've ever seen. But it's hilarious to listen to the two commentators like go off on all the stupid stuff that happens there. So yeah, the 2v2s are actually a lot of fun.
Yeah, so you guys can check that out over on Africa TV. I'll definitely check out some of that. Also, BSL Season 6, the Bombastic Star League. This is the big tournament for non-Korean players online in StarCraft Brood War. Rapid, you've been casting a lot of that with Zero. Can you tell us a bit about what's going on with it, where you're at in the tournament?
Yeah, I've actually been casting most of it with Nyokin, and then sometimes Nyokin actually has to play in the tournament, and so Zero will cast alongside me. But it is Zero, he's the guy that runs it, a huge hero of the Brood War community. And so we just finished the round of 24 in the group stage. These are 24 of the best non-Korean players. That's kind of the rule for this league. It's a 1v1 tournament with players outside of Korea. So we just finished up the round of 24, and no super huge surprises there other than TT1 and Yeti being eliminated. TT1, of course, super old school player, and he does very well. And then Yeti, one of the best players on the Polish team Net Wars, but he was eliminated in a very hard group with Dandy and Gorinich, two of the top foreign pros. Unfortunately, we had Jaeyoon, who was eliminated as well in a pretty hard group. That was basically the only upset. But the round of 8 is going to be insanity. It is every single season, and this season is no exception. We've got so many amazing games coming up. And I think the series that you can see there on your screen are just kind of a taste there. All of the best non-Korean StarCraft players are playing. And the level is actually super high right now. Specifically, DeWalt is a Russian player who's actually training out here in South Korea. And he's at like 2450 MMR. He's insanely good.
That is really high for anyone wondering as far as Brood War foreigners go, or just MMR in general. That is incredibly high. And yeah, so the fact that he's making that in Korea, he's really good.
Yep. And it starts up at the end of this month again, so don't miss it. It's on twitch.tv/ZZZ0PL. Just click the link, or I'll tweet about it. So you'll find it out there one of these places.
All right. Well, why don't you not stop there? STPL is going on as well. And you've been casting out kicks quite a bit. The Shinon Tank Pro League, run by the amazing British tournament organizer Kicks. Tell us a little bit about it, Rapid.
Yeah, I kind of pulled a Fear Dragon. This is like my Fear Dragons chunk of the show where I get to talk about all the tournaments.
I was just the StarCraft 1 Fear Dragon?
You might be onto something there. I just finished casting this tournament right before the Pylon show. I finished a couple hours beforehand. And the first series, the second series is what's on the screen right there. The first series was IRK, which is like the best non-Korean, or one of the best non-Korean clans versus White Clan, which is the best Korean clan. And it was just some of the sickest games I've ever seen of Brood War. Just very good series. And so it's a team league for Brood War, and it involves a couple of Korean clans mixed in with a bunch of non-Korean clans full of community figures, top pro players, and you get to see some of the sickest production value outside of Korea. Kicks hand-coded the entire interface to do all these kinds of stats and overlays. He's got this sick 80s retro theme going on, which just blows my mind. It's very high production value, and it's 2 best of 5s with one game apiece, kind of pro league style, and really fun tournament. So if you haven't watched it, pick a day this week. It's on, I think, 3 days a week, so lots and lots of games out there to watch. It's a lot of fun.
Cool. All right. Still in the Brood War news, KSL Season 3 is coming up. You can register to play online between March 8th and March 20th. It's kind of a fun couple days of online qualifiers. If you happen to make it through to the offline qualifiers, you do have to be in Korea for that. But there's a bigger time in between the last day of online and the offline qualifiers, so it's actually possible to get here, unlike in previous seasons where you would have had to literally go from your PC to the airport. So we're going to start the first season on April 18th. So that is going to be awesome to have that back. That's going to be after ASL is done, so everything's spread out a bit more. Continuing forward, the AIST Season 2 AI Tournament. The bot submission deadline is today, I believe, or tomorrow. And the tournament is going to start shortly thereafter. There is going to be an AI versus human match, I believe, for the winner a little bit later on. And a lot of bots are being put in. Definitely check this out. Antigua is kind of running it, the SSC AIT. If you are interested in these bots, in watching it or anything, definitely check it out in the show notes. But you don't need to only check out in the show notes, because they actually have a podcast about these bots run again by Antigua. or I don't know if it's run by him, but he was on the last episode at least. Anyways, it's called the Undermined podcast. They're on episode number 12. They're talking about the finals and what's going on. So if you're really deeply kind of into the bot world, we only touch upon it briefly here. I know ES Champ does a good job covering it, and of course the SSCAIT guys. And you can check out this website, makingcomputerdothings.com. Yes. Okay. This week in awesome. The double Artosis Pylon. We're gonna.
How did you feel when you saw this, Dan?
Well, I'll talk about it in a second. Let's watch the clip.
Artosis, shut your eyes.
Oh, okay.
We don't need volume.
No, not another one.
Yeah, we can get Dan's live commentary.
The double Artosis
Watching it.
Yeah. Look, there's some things you shouldn't see in 2019 between the two of the better players. And that is one of them. And actually, Showtime's falling apart, by the way. He loses the Warp Prism. He's going to lose these probes. He's out. He's literally out of the tournament. Amazing. Alive. Picks him apart. Double Artosis Pylon pickoff into classic third base poke. And Showtime is so out of position. He is.
All right. So first off, I'd like to hand it to Alessandra and Cobra for being sneaky snakes and adding that in after I had already gone through everything, so I did not know that that was coming. Very well timed. But I think we have to have an intervention with Jeff, because we all know this is truly an in-control pylon. This all the time on his stream, and he just continues to be in denial about it. So maybe when he's back on the Pylon Show, we can all sit down as a community, get everyone together, and just be like, Jeff, you need to accept. You need more pylons powering your buildings.
I remember reading a Reddit thread one time. There was somebody actually found the first broadcasted single pylon that unpowered a bunch of stuff. I forget who exactly it was, but it wasn't you.
No, wait.
I think it was.
Well, it was the first time it was really called out by someone.
Right,
who was
right, yeah.
Commentating, unfortunately. So, moving forward. Also this week in Awesome, Warcraft 3, The Frozen Throne is selected as an official game for WCG 2019 Xi'an. Okay, so I know that this isn't StarCraft 1 or 2, but it's definitely something that I kind of want to bring up into the show, right? Because WCG was probably worldwide the most important the most important esports tournament for a long time. It would bring all the different games together. It made a really great country feeling. It's kind of similar to what WESG is doing, but WCG was the
forerunner
part. Yeah, it was definitely the forerunner, and it was like it was bigger in the scene back then than WESG is now. Although WESG, like, everyone likes it as a tournament quite a bit. But yeah, so the fact that they announced Warcraft 3 is fantastic. Obviously, that was always a big part. But before it was even out, and every year in WCG, we had StarCraft. So hopefully they'll take StarCraft 1 or StarCraft 2 and add it in there. Maybe people can go to the WCG site and suggest it or something.
I've heard from some of the Chinese players that stay here that Warcraft is absolutely massive in China still.
Yeah.
Like right now, it's massive.
Yeah.
So not a huge surprise.
It's super insane. Huge prize pools, and the players are just like gods over there. So it truly never went away.
Yeah, it's got such a cool history over there as well. There's so many fun and interesting things that have occurred within the Warcraft 3 scene in China. I wish that Chinese esports was easier for people to follow. In the rest of the world.
There's even actually a very close parallel. There's like a Warcraft 3 Serral. None of the foreigners are actually able to take on Chinese and Korean players in Warcraft 3, but there's this Ukrainian player named Foggy who like just wipes the floor with him. He's transcendently good, and he went 3-4 in the finals of the most recent like World Championship over there. So really sick tournament to watch.
Does he play?
He plays Night Elf, which was super broken at the time. So,
there you go. I mean, according to Todd, that doesn't even count then.
Yeah. Hey, they just nerfed it into the ground, so it's okay now.
Oh, okay. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's this week in StarCraft. Thank you for the alley-oops, guys. Very helpful. And we are going to go ahead and just kind of jump into I Am Katowice and talk about that a little bit. So let me pull that up. So yeah, Katowice has been going on. Let's start looking at each group. And obviously I have some questions for you guys because all three of you have been watching a decent amount of Katowice. What's going on? Let's take a look at Group 1 to start first off, okay? In Group 1, we had Lenok and Ragnarok win the bracket. And then, hold on, let me bring up the actual thing. And then Deer won the lower bracket. What did you guys think about this group overall?
I felt like this was the group of upsets, to be honest. Like when I was doing predictions on this bracket, I certainly thought SOS was getting out of this. Like, come on, this is SOS and IM, like Katowice. Like, it's weird to not even see him in like the round of 24 or whatever, like the group stage. Lenok is good. But even if Lenok was to make it out of this group, I thought SOS would come out of the lower bracket, right? Like this is even SOS over Deer, and Deer getting knocked out too was surprising as well. Like Ragnarok did really well, like better than expected, certainly.
Yeah, it seems like Ragnarok kind of ruined everyone's predictions here, which which is kind of funny because he's been like top 16 on the ladder in Korea for quite some time now. Like he's been training really hard. I know he had kind of a flub in his GSL group, but that was a hard group, right? But yeah, he just kind of smashed out of here. He didn't even lose his game.
Still very like I don't think anybody who was doing those predictions would predict Ragnarok coming out of the main bracket, at least like the upper bracket. Like Deer is really good. Like we count him as one of the best Protosses, at least.
Yeah.
And he obviously Deer made it out of the group still, but yeah, I was surprised to see it at 2-0 too.
I'm definitely with you. I was also I got kind of hyped because I was like, oh, Mana's like doing well. He beats Fantasy and stuff. And then Mana just like, he died to Lenok and then he died to Snoot. And I know he had a really feels bad man tweet about performance there. So I was kind of sad for him, but it was also really interesting to see Snoot. That was like really odd to just see him playing in tournaments.
You know what I was really sad about in performance in this bracket? I was really sad about Fantasy. Like I was hyping Fantasy. I felt like playing him and like seeing him play on these online tournaments, absolutely smashing people. And like the fact that he chose StarCraft 2 over Brood War, I was hyping him so much because, you know, like that decision is like not an easy one to make.
Yeah.
You know, like you're like, all right, I could have all this fame, money, and like support from the community, or I could play StarCraft 2. And maybe, you know, like it's possible, but you know, Brood War is way more of a sure thing if you're Fantasy.
I think you have to keep in mind that with this offline tournament, this was real life, so it wasn't just Fantasy online.
Thanks, Ravi. Let's continue with what I was saying. Ravi. Okay. Yeah, so I was a little disappointed to see him go out, but he did go out against Protosses, so.
Does that make it okay?
I mean, like, it doesn't.
But understandable.
The way Fantasy plays, it's more understandable because he plays like this mech, really heavy mech style, and it doesn't favor to play that against Protosses. So.
To echo what No Regret was saying, I was super sad to see him go too, because I think you and I got a chance to cast his really cool style versus some Zergs in GSL, Dan, and I really wanted to see more of that, but it was not meant to be.
Yeah, him versus Lenok rematch could have been really fantastic. I'm sure Lenok was super happy to see Mana beat him. No question there.
Yeah.
As far as this group goes, right? Because this is going to be a theme while we go over these brackets. I keep calling them groups, but they're actually brackets. What do you think about how the foreigners, the non-Korean players performed? Were there any big disappointments for you guys because overall, as we go through all these brackets, we're going to see that not the greatest showing from the non-Koreans.
Yeah, I would say that brackets 2 and 4, when we get to those, are the real disappointments for me, where you have some bigger examples than this bracket. But I was super sad to see Mana get out after having such a good win in the upper bracket against Fantasy. I was just like, man, this is really a great opportunity. And then Hero Marine was also really hyped up. He had that one win against Keen, and then also kind of fell down and struggled. So that was. I got nothing to say about that. This is a kind of a brutal format where it's best of 3s, so you don't get to play like a full best of 5. But there is a lower bracket, so you really can't fault Cure because he lost 0-2 to Namshar, which I think is not a slight on Namshar, but just very surprising to see him just drop out almost immediately.
I feel like Cure always does this. Like every time we play him online and we see him in Korea, he's pretty good, even though he doesn't really show that well in GSL. Like online, he's like a Korean Soul, where you're like, okay, he's really high ranked on the ladder. Clearly, he's gonna do something, right? And then he goes into an offline tournament, and just gets demolished by everybody. And I feel like this is Cure's like every single tournament I've watched him, I'm like, oh, Cure's really good. Like he's got to do something, right? And he just loses. Like not that Namshar's bad or anything, but like Korean, like if you're really high on Korean ladder as a Terran, you do not lose to foreign Zergs. Okay, it doesn't happen unless it's like Raynor or Serral, or whoever. Like that's the whole thing with Korean Terrans. You just don't. That's not like it doesn't happen. But because like the European Zergs don't have that much practice against Terrans, so it's not supposed to happen. But
a few high-end Terrans. Overall, for bracket number 1, was there one series that kind of stands out in your mind that like, oh, this is for someone who didn't get to watch, the entire bracket or anything? If they have a time to go back and catch a series or two, was there one that you would suggest me like, oh, this was a dynamite series, this made the day?
Either Ragnarok or Deer's qualifying series, both versus Keen, were both, I thought, pretty good.
I feel like I didn't watch Leonok versus SOS, but just because it's a 2-1 and Leonok qualified, I would recommend that series. I don't even have to see it, but I know that series is probably pretty fucking good.
I was like, same thing. It's just cool to see him again. Like being super active and actually doing well.
If my memory is correct, Deer eliminated Keen here in the loser bracket final. Isn't that like what happened? Like he eliminated him from his GSL group as well. That's a little bit rough, isn't it?
Ooh.
Poor Keen.
You followed me all the way here.
I know.
Yeah.
It's like they fly to Poland and do the same thing. Keen's like, fuck, I'm really good. I promise. This is terrible. All right, let's jump over to bracket number 2. So the ultimate qualifiers were Scarlet, Trap, and Hero.
Yeah.
This one I felt there's a lot of foreigner disappointment for me.
Yeah.
Scarlet getting through was pretty surprising. Like I live with her. I know her. She's good. Don't get me wrong. She's fucking good. But I was expecting Showtime to have a better performance, especially against Scarlet.
Yeah.
Obviously going down to the lower bracket and then being eliminated was not my expectation at all. So Showtime, I feel like he always kind of underperforms in the first couple events. I don't know why, but he's someone we've been hyping as the best Protoss foreigner, hands down, and he just keeps getting eliminated. So it's kind of disappointing. And there's a lot more foreigners in general in this group too,
right?
Compared to the first group. So Scarlet getting out through Hero is pretty nice. Like she would have been really, really disappointed if she'd lost to Hero again.
Just that's right. Note on the whole like foreigners making it out thing, like Scarlet's the only non-Korean that made it out of the offline qualifier, and you look at her bracket.
Lambo.
Oh right, sorry. I was right.
Out of the main upper bracket though, right?
Yeah. But like you look at Scarlet's run, and it's like there was one Korean in that bracket. So like in some ways, considering how well the Koreans are doing, like that was probably one of the like more likely brackets there.
Sure. But even still, if I put Showtime and Scarlet in a like a best of 3, I wouldn't necessarily say Scarlet has the like is favored there. Like this is not an easy group for her, but probably one of the easier groups in general.
Yeah, this is definitely a little bit lopsided when it came to like Korean representation. I think only 3 Korean players in this group, but even still, I think it's surprising to see the results. Because if you just bet on the Korean players, you're wrong because Scarlet took out Hero, and I think it would have been a lot more difficult, like you said, Jake, if she had dropped down to the lower bracket. Because I mean, this is pretty stacked as far as non-Korean players go too.
Yeah. I mean, I think Trap is a pretty, a favorite. I would say Trap 100% of the time. I think Hero is a favorite too. The way it happened is weird.
Yeah.
And I actually thought Showtime had a better chance of getting out of this group than Alive, but the way this bracket played out, I guess, Alive just demolished him, but that was not my expectation, certainly. But,
yeah, Alive is kind of funny the way that he shows up sometimes, and other days just looks. It's like, what are you doing
Dead.
today?
Yeah.
So obviously some disappointment from Showtime you guys are expressing, and some kind of happiness towards Scarlett's performance, although she didn't have to face too many Koreans, although it's nice to beat Hero after losing to him a couple times. But one thing I do want to bring up, and we just talked about slightly last week, Nurchio. It seems like he is just kind of falling right now, like in a free fall. Like this would normally be a person where I could look at this group. If this was 2016 or something, or 2017, I feel like I'd look at this and be like, yeah, Nurchio can definitely get out of here. You know, this is not undoable by any means, but he's been falling really quickly and really early in most tournaments. Did you guys get to see any of his games, or?
I did not. I feel like Nurchio's been kind of like on the downslope for a while. Like, I don't want to be that guy who like kick somebody while they're down, but I don't feel like we've seen a high performance out of Nurchio for the last year or two.
Yeah.
Like,
I feel like
Nurchio was one of my favorite because of his personality and the way he played, and he was so dominant, but I just feel like we haven't seen that same Nurchio in at least 2 years.
I feel like he
including this.
underperformed, but it was because we had such high expectations for him. Like, he was still
doing
okay for like a normal person, but we just had such high expectations for him.
Even still, a normal, like the only thing he did was he took out Drogo, which is good, but losing to Skillis and Stefano.
Not in this event. Not in this event.
Oh, okay.
He did not do well. But like I'm saying, like last year and stuff. But like recently, you're right. I'm totally with you. It's been like probably a free fall. And it's weird too, because like he's been laddering, he's been active, he's still playing stuff. Like it's not like he just did.
He also doesn't hit like that old age where you're just like, fuck it, like I'm doing my own thing now. Like 26 is old, but not like retire pro gamer old. Like you can totally be good at 26.
Yeah, that cast style where you will play in all the tournaments, but I don't know. I remember when Nurchio and Elazer were just like these two Polish Zergs at the top of the foreign tournaments every single time they play. Nurchio's getting sponsored by Red Bull. I'm like, damn. And then this little kid, Cyril's like climbing up and ultimately kind of eclipses them. And Nurchio, I think he lost to Seoul in the WESG qualifiers, and like Seoul's a great player and everything, but I do think that Nurchio's kind of struggling right now. So I was kind of sad to see him go.
Okay, we figured it out. So effectively, Cyril sucked the soul out of
Nurchio.
Nurchio, and just gradually he's become weaker and weaker, and soon Cyril's gonna ascend to god status, and no one's gonna remember Nurchio.
That already happened, unfortunately.
It's well on its way.
Does anybody know about Nurchio's? I feel like this is a question for Ravi. Do you know about Nurchio's ladder performance?
He is 130 and 92 on the ladder.
Okay, yeah. See, like that's not a Nurchio ladder.
It's like a 58% win rate. Yeah.
What happened?
Through the motions at the moment. Sometimes people lose motivation a little bit and just kind of continue the motions of playing, right? Because it's like his base skill is so high that he can roll his face across the keyboard and be high GM, but that doesn't mean he can beat the serious players in a tournament.
You know what? I bet you if we had like an expansion, like let's say fucking Legacy of the Liberty or whatever, I bet we'd see Nurchio go way up. You know, like he needs like one of those like big mix-ups like of the game where like the meta kind of shifts to come back. It might be like where you're just kind of falling behind meta-wise, and it's really hard to get out of a rut.
Like what if you have like Night of Storm way different, just like way better?
Well, that doesn't really.
It's already better. It's like that's like the big meme from all the games.
That was my joke. That was my joke. Was that we did have the big mix up and it didn't work.
I don't think that's a big meta shift. That's just like people are all inning more now, which isn't what I'm talking about. But
fair enough.
Thanks, Ravi. Thank you for the derail again.
Back, Jake.
All right, I think we've talked enough about this group, right?
Yeah.
Well, real quick though, for again people that didn't get to catch as many, is there any standout series for you guys that you watched and were just like, this was dynamite? Everyone needs to see it.
I'm extremely biased, but I really enjoyed watching Scarlet beat Showtime. I like Showtime, but I really enjoyed watching Scarlet qualify.
I was gonna say Scarlet Hero was my favorite series.
I feel like Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I didn't watch Trap vs. Bly again, but again, Trap vs. Bly with a 2-1 sounds really fucking interesting. Again.
Yeah, Bly proxy hatched him in game 1, right?
Okay, go watch that. I think Trap
you
vs.
go.
Bly where there's a proxy hatch. Good, do it.
I
You know,
like
that
it.
sounds great.
Bly had a pretty good run. Do want to point
Yeah,
that
he
out. Beat Drogo in the first round 2-0. It seems like Drogo had a terrible tournament, losing to Nurcho as well. 2-0.
2-0,
I
yeah.
always loved his PVZ too, so that's
Yeah,
he doesn't have he had a pretty good record on Korea ladder, so it's a little weird.
Turkey Dano, God of Cheese, reminds me that Bly was 1 pylon kill away from winning that series. So it's actually super close.
Oh, yeah.
all right.
Okay,
So
go watch that.
Yeah.
Trap Bly, Scarlet Showtime, and Scarlet Hero. There you go.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's go to bracket number 3. So the ultimate qualifiers. This I felt like some big surprises. This one, Creator, and then Sue and Gumiho. The Sue Gumiho, I think, are not big surprises to anyone, but Creator winning a winner bracket. What do you guys think about bracket number 3?
So this bracket, I actually watched the whole thing. Like unlike the other ones where I'm watching nitbits. Like it's actually really hard to watch from Korea. Dan can you know, say that.
Unless you stay up all night like Rapid, then it's.
I watched every single game of IEM that was ever broadcasted. I have no life in the worst sleep schedule now, but I watched a lot of Starcraft, so you know it's kind of 50-50.
So the first two, obviously, Creator I think is expected. Creator versus Probe, Creator versus Space Marine. I don't think anyone would say that's an unexpected performance. But Creator versus Raynor was extremely interesting, and he just kind of outplayed Raynor, you know, like there wasn't much like, oh, this gimmick kind of won him the game, or like, you know what I mean? Like these games are pretty long. I felt like Raynor made some mistakes that he doesn't normally make. Creator just kind of played solidly and won. Like there's not much to say about it. He's just good. Like Creator looks really good right now. Parting versus Raynor was an interesting series.
Yeah.
Yeah,
the whole Raynor series.
I have something to say about the Raynor versus Parting, because the way that I get my StarCraft when it's European events, because it's at such a bad time, is I just turn it on my TV, my big TV in the morning while I'm getting food for the kids and everything. And my daughter watching, she's always asking me questions about StarCraft and stuff, and for the first time she predicted who was going to win a game.
Wow.
And she thought that Raynor was going to be able to take out Parting because Raynor had more. And
fly?
Later, done. GG, Raynor beat him.
That's
cool.
amazing.
I was very proud.
Yeah.
You just confirm for us that the curse does not carry down generations. It's not genetic.
Maybe it skips a generation. Also, if you want to watch that series, it's actually being rebroadcasted right now on IEM ESL_SC2. So you can actually just watch.
Yeah, to speak more on Parting versus Raynor, I was a little sad that the way Parting went out. Like I'm a huge fan of Raynor, and I would love to see Raynor do well. But I kind of felt like Parting was robbed of like even standard games because he just kept getting Nidus, and you know it just feels like a little bit of a robbery when people are getting Nidus right now because Nidus is so strong. Like I don't know if it just you need more time to figure it out. But when I play against it, I just don't like. There's nothing I can do. I'm like, oh, there's a Nidus, I'm dead.
You gotta keep immortals in your main base, dude.
Yeah, I keep it's just ridiculous. And yeah, so speaking more, I was really hyped for Hurricane because Hurricane's lived with us for a really long time. And after he 2-0'd Gumiho, I was like, damn, this is like a sick run for him. And he had really close games kind of against Sue, where they started falling apart after like the mid to late game where Sue just sued him, you know, like he just has a disgusting late game. And then the bracket turned out the best for him. Like we went down, he played a PvP against Parting, right? Which is scary, but Hurricane clearly knew how to play against Parting in that series. Like he was looking for the cannon rush and defeated it. And then I was really scared when Raynor went down. Like Raynor losing to Gumiho was pretty surprising to me, even though most people thought Raynor was gonna lose. I certainly did not think that. So it was pretty surprising that Raynor did get 2-1'd. And that was really, really lucky for Hurricane because Raynor would be really scary to play against if you're Hurricane. So this bracket turned out well for him, but then he got Gumiho'd. So Gumiho's like, Gumiho is like, all right, fuck this shit. I'm building buildings all over. Yeah. Like I'm just gonna do my own shit and kill you.
Okay.
Also, he has. Go ahead.
I was gonna say I like that Jake's analysis was, and like the bracket was looking really good for him, and like beat Parting in the lower bracket, and then it's like Gumiho. I was like, oh man, thank God it's not Rainer. But then he lost.
Yeah, and then he got
anyways.
Gumiho.
I'm like,
Well,
oh,
I mean, to be
thanks for that top
fair,
level analysis.
to be fair, if Hurricane
Nah, I
was
got
going to make it out, he 2-0'd Gumiho already. This was the bracket for him to do it.
I'm
like,
with you.
He had his bet. Like for me, I was looking through the biased lens of Hurricane, right? Because I'm a huge, fan of him, and I want him to do well, and he lived with us for so long. But it's sad that he went out this way. But at least he did, relatively well for what people expect of Hurricane.
Did you guys catch Kelliger Rail? I kind of wonder what that series looks like, because Rail has really been on the up and up for a while now. And as you can see, he took a game off Rainer, right? And then he dropped down and beat True, who's actually in pretty good form right now. But then lost to a Kelliger, who, as we all know, retired and is doing better than ever. But I'm never going to let up on.
I didn't see this match, so okay. I can't comment on it.
I figure it probably wasn't on the mainstream, but it
wasn't.
I just thought that was a slightly interesting result for me.
I didn't see it, but that one doesn't surprise me that much, just because I think what Rail hits a lot of Europeans at like weird times with like weird attacks, and just things are just different. And you even see sometimes, like every now and again, like every couple of weeks, you'll see some random European pro player being like, I don't understand how Rail's playing. It's dumb. I shouldn't be losing to it, but I can't believe I lost to it. Like you'll see that every so often. I think a lot of what he does works because people are just so not sure what he's doing. But then I think Kelliger just kind of does weird stuff also sometimes. So I haven't seen the series, but like it surprises me less because Kelliger, I think he's more prepared for like doing weird stuff in response to weird stuff.
Yeah. Could also be the European effect, which is where there's no Terrans for you to play against. So you play a ton of games against Zergs, and then you play a Terran, you're like, what the fuck is this race? And then you just die,
Would you guys consider this to be like kind of a disappointment as far as the non-Koreans go? Because I think no one can really argue at Su and Gumiho getting out here for sure. They've been so top for so long, but obviously we have a lot of big hopes for Rainer. A lot of the other foreigners are not ones you actually necessarily expect to do well, like Showtime was in Group A. But what do you guys think as far as the overall foreigner presence in this bracket?
Yeah, I totally agree. I think the way the bracket was supposed to work out is that the qualifying match in the winner bracket, Rainer was supposed to beat Creator. I feel pretty strongly, if you have a heart and you watch Rainer play Creator and then Rainer play Gumiho, like those are sad games. Because I think there's so much hype behind Rainer, besides his WCS participation this past year. I just felt like he was so close to winning both of those series. He wins one game, and he's on the verge of qualifying. So that to me was like, it was disappointing, but it was just sad.
One game I felt was extremely mismanaged was there was a game Rainer was, I think it was the second game, Rainer versus Gumiho. There was like almost no way Gumiho was supposed to win that game. My mind was like blown when I started seeing Gumiho come back and like actually maintain a better economy than Rainer. Like he killed everything. There was like no chance of him winning that game, and then it just turned it around and won. And I was like, my mind was just like blown. I feel like any other Terran would have just left in the position Gumiho was in. So definitely, if I recommend a series, watch that. But yeah, I was really, really sad to see Rainer's performance, especially when we have our last image of Rainer in WCS, where he came second to Serral, and it was like 3-4. You're like, okay, is this like Serral Jr. or what? But this performance, I think, is a pretty big disappointment for Rainer himself as well. And seeing his tweets and stuff was really sad to see him go out this way.
Yeah.
Oh, did he have some upset ones?
Yep. I think FML was one of them.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's fair enough. Do you guys have... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, look at this bracket and you say Rainer versus Rail, certainly Rainer. Rainer versus Parting, certainly Rainer. And Rainer versus Creator, certainly Rainer, right? Like those are the expectations.
Creator has been super up and down with the quality of his play, though, right? Like Super Tournament last year, he did really well in kind of out of nowhere, and then he had a bumpy GSL group this past time. I feel like Creator has maybe the widest range of how he can play in a tournament match. It's kind of
what's crazy about Creator? His age. I don't think anybody really puts creator's age into perspective.
He's
22. He's 1997.
Damn.
What?
Like, he's crazy young, and everyone thinks he's super old because he's been here forever.
Yeah,
he did his military service already, right?
No,
I don't think so.
I think one of the generic kids did, right? If I'm not mistaken.
If he did, he's set for life, but I don't think
so.
I think he's played consistently for the entire time.
Yeah, I'm probably incorrect about that. I don't remember who exactly I'm thinking of, but you're right. He is super young.
Yeah, he's really young. So like, there's tons of potential for him even now after like fucking, 8-9 years of playing. He still has potential.
That's true. That's true.
And he's on Jin so who knows, right?
Yeah,
his good games look fantastic. There's no question. What do you guys have as standout series for people to watch?
Raynor versus Gumiho lower bracket was insane. Like,
yeah, when I just look at this bracket, I haven't seen that one, but that's the match I'm most interested in.
Game 2 in that series was insane. Like, I've never seen a Terran come back from that position. So definitely go watch that.
Yeah, anything with Raynor in it were great series to watch. What were the other good series from that group? Those were the ones that stand out to me.
I didn't see it. I saw Raynor Gumiho and definitely agree with that. I didn't see Su Kelazur, but I would love to know what that series looks like, because Kelazur didn't take a game off of him. And I don't know.
ZVT right now looks absurdly strong. So yeah, what was that?
Yeah,
just 3 proxy
that sounds like a good series. As long as it wasn't proxy racks, it sounds like a good series.
Yeah, could be. Okay, very cool. Let's go to bracket number 4. All right, so bracket number 4, we had Stats, Solar, and Lambo making it through.
Yeah, Lambo just like killing it. Ever since he had such a good performance in the WCS circuit last season, I was like really hoping to see some like killer performances. And I was actually really worried because at this point only Scarlet had advanced out of the open qualifiers, and his series actually, people talk about him beating Impact as being very impressive. The series versus the Laser is also super sick. I'm just so happy to see him do really well. And in truth, his games versus Impact in the winter bracket, where he lost, kind of made me even more worried. And then he comes back and gets revenge on Impact 2-1 in the lower bracket. Like, you can't write these stories. It's just such a good series.
Yeah, the bracket turned out really well for Lambo. If you look, Lambo losing to Trust 2-0, like, he would have been shitting his pants again, right? If Trust comes through and like takes out a Laser 2-0, it's like, fuck, man, not again, right? But he must have been really happy seeing a Laser come through. I think Lambo and a Laser know each other really well, and I think that favors Lambo a lot, because a Laser a little bit less multi-dimensional and more like mechanical, and Lambo more multi-dimensional and more like thought process oriented. It's a little bit easier to like metagame people in ZVZ if you know how they're going to play. So this kind of matchup should favor Lambo in general. But yeah, this was like the perfect bracket for Lambo in the lower bracket, except for maybe Impact, which, ZVZ still. And Lambo's pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah, Impact is in really good form right now. So I actually
my original
out of this group.
My original predictions were Laser to come out with Stats and Solar, but the way the bracket panned out, I'm not too surprised that this happened. Like ZVZ, I thought Laser would do better than he did, because I feel like he does better than this usually in ZVZ, but like Laser playing Stats, I'd be a little bit scared for Stats, honestly. Like, Laser's scary in that matchup.
Yeah, and Stats isn't looking super invincible right at the moment.
Certainly not in Korea. We're talking, a couple of us were talking ladder, and he keeps setting a stream title like, oh, I'm streaming until 6-6, and then he has like 13-hour long streams and like ends them at like 6-4. We're like, this is like very weird for Stats. Like 6-4 is like 200 MMR higher than me, so I'm like, what's going on? Like, am I only 200 MMR off from Stats? Like, it's weird.
Any big disappointments in this bracket for anyone?
I wouldn't say disappointments. I think Laser came super close. He did like kind of a little bit of the heavy lifting, like beating Trust so that there wasn't that game against Lambo in the qualifying match. It's just so hard when only 3 players qualify out of such a stacked bracket. So like, what are you going to do? There are going to be some heartbreaks. Also, Impact not qualifying. I feel like he's been doing really, really well both in Korea and in big tournaments like this. So yeah, there were definitely some disappointments. I'd say mine would be Impact.
Yeah, I think the only disappointment here would be Impact.
Possibly
a laser.
I felt a little disappointed about Soul, but it's like goes back to exactly what Jake was saying before, where it's like I feel disappointed every time I see Soul at an offline event because I still have high hopes for him.
Yeah.
Okay, look, I didn't even see Soul in this bracket, and my prediction from before about Cure being the Korean Soul, like this is exactly what happens. He's like 7.3 or 7.2 on Europe, and he just like gets eliminated.
He does well in online events
Yeah.
too. That's what's also
like in truth, this bracket had Soul, Solier, and Solar. So I thought one of them was going to do really well, and Solar was the one. So there you go.
Yeah, I guess Impact. Like I really did think he would end up coming out of this group. I actually thought he might beat Stats. I was almost kind of leaning towards him beating Stats, and then maybe Stats coming through the bottom of bracket.
Yeah.
But yeah, these final 3 Zergs left over, like a Laser, Lambo, Impact. Like it seems like Trust did pretty well in this tournament overall, but I wasn't really ever expecting him. But yeah, I don't know. I really like all 3 of those Zergs anyway, so it's cool to have Lambo come out, I think. Yeah. Any series that you guys thought were particularly awesome?
Impact Lambo is super sick. That's the one that like really stood out to me.
Okay.
I think Solar Trust is probably pretty good.
I bet you Stats Impact is a good series.
Stats Impact, yeah. That
I haven't seen Group D. I don't think
this was like the really late night one for us.
Yeah,
I'm still catching up on VODs.
I was watching Group C, but I haven't caught Group D yet. Okay, well, that gives us our qualified players. So let's take a look at the actual groups, which are somewhat hilarious.
Like,
oh my god, I was so
between
when I saw. Oh.
We should take a look at wait, what?
They should have just rigged this. Like, I mean, would anyone complain if we just moved some of these Protosses around?
Okay, let me read this because we have a lot of audio only listeners. Okay, so Group A. Now, of course, all the players that we just listed, the 12 players we listed, all moved up, but 12 others already qualified. So here we go. This is Group A. We have Patience, the Korean Protoss, Zest, the Korean Protoss, Stats, the Korean Protoss, Hero, the Korean Protoss, Creator, the Korean Protoss, and then Special, the Mexican Terran. Let's talk about this group a little bit.
Oh, there's a super inappropriate meme about this group that if you're out there, you've probably seen it. I just want to see what the look on Major or Special's face was when he sees this group, because like you can't make this up. Like earlier in the week, WESG released the groups for their tournament, and I think people had a similar reaction. And then IEM happens, and the same thing happens. It's like, what is happening to the randomization out there? I don't know.
Well, that's the thing about being random. You're going to get groups like this sometimes.
Yeah, this sucks a lot for Special, by the way. Like, there's no sugarcoating this.
He only has to practice one matchup while he's in a hotel room.
I agree with well, I agree with the fact that he only has to play against one matchup is nice. But if it's like 6 times, you can only have so many build orders. It's going to be really easy to study for him. Like, it sucks.
I'm actually really curious because this is like going to be one of those situations where you're not necessarily going to get to watch all the other games, right? Because they're all happening at the same time.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that would certainly help.
That will help, yeah, but it's still
yeah.
Like, for instance, if Special beats like Zest, Stats can just be like, hey, what did he do against you?
Yeah, especially
yeah. Well, that one of the critiques that I think a lot of the non-Korean players had of Special is that while he was in Korea, he would help the Korean players practice when they had groups against other non-Korean players. And I think some people had some question marks about that. But now truly it's going to be all the Korean Protosses kind of getting together.
I don't think the Koreans are going to talk as much as you think they will, because nobody really wants everyone to demolish Special.
No,
you know? Like you kind of want Special. If you're the only one who beats him or whatever, like that puts you in a pretty good spot, right? If everyone beats him, it doesn't help you, right? Because he's at the very bottom.
No, that's all true, and also there's not actually a race war going on within StarCraft.
Yeah, right.
These people are actually all friends, and Special is very, very friendly with like all Korean players. Like everyone likes him, and so there isn't some sort of big gang up thing occurring here. I don't think.
Yeah, everybody just wants to create drama.
How do we even predict such a group? What are we looking at here?
You predict the best PvPers.
Who's got
and then give a percentage
Who are
of
the
error.
best PvPers? Someone tell me.
Hero probably is pretty good. Zest is pretty good.
Yeah, those guys.
This is like
Stats is pretty good. Creative's pretty good.
Stats. Patience has been beating everyone PvP lately.
I don't know what Patience is on right now, but he looks like a totally different player. This is like this I might be an Overwatch pro gamer guy who's now back and just killing everybody. What surprises me is that I think Brian, the GSL translator, was saying in chat is that Stats looks at this group and told Brian that he was actually totally happy with this group because he just doesn't want to play Zergs right now. So I'm like, wow, if you can look at this group and be happy with it, then either you're really dumb or you're really smart.
If I was Stats, I would not be happy with this group.
Yeah.
I feel like I can count the number of pro Protoss players on one hand that are like, I think I feel comfortable with PvP. I think I can really predict what's going to happen.
The funny thing is, the one person who's really fucking good at PvP, it's going to be very apparent who that is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like in this group, they're not just going to win one series and be like, wow, that was a really good series. They're just going to fucking dominate everybody. You know what I mean?
I mean, the thing is, you have these people that will historically do that, but then you have the people that throw wrenches into that. Like, for instance, Zest is actually one of the best PvP players of all time, but someone like Patience or Hero will just do something absurd and just be like, we're flipping coins, bro. It doesn't matter how good you are.
If anybody's throwing wrenches, it's Hero and Patience for sure.
I want so badly for Hero to Patience to just like be first picking King's Cove every like series and just like cannon rushing every single time. Something stupid like that.
You know what I think this group is going to end up looking like, because it is round robin, right? I think that this group is everyone's going to be at like 2-3 at the end of the group.
Oh my god, that would be the worst.
The biggest tie ever, and they're going to make Apollo come out with this giant rule book and do the dumbest decisions ever to see who moves on. There's no way, right? This isn't one of those groups, like normal Serral groups where you see like Serral went 10-1 in maps, and this is second and third place were tied. It's not one of those groups.
As long as Adrian Harris draws a ball out of the hat to determine the winner of the tiebreaker, I'll be okay with that.
It's really sad. When I was there, like in Katowice, this was like one of my favorite parts of the entire tournament, because everybody was doing math on like who the fuck they have to beat, who the fuck they have to try really hard, who if they like, okay, maybe I can lose to this person, it's okay. I gotta fucking demolish this person, you know what I mean? Like there was like crazy math going on.
Fuck round
and
robin
some
math.
people would just fuck up math too and like just be completely wrong.
That is a really fun part of tournaments. Like back when I used to do a lot of Magic tournaments, when you would get towards the end of the tournament, everyone would be doing the Swiss math on tiebreak. And as soon as you figure out you can't, you're like, all right, I'm gonna go get pizza. See, I'm dropping out.
I wish they just mic up pro gamers. Like if you had like a mic for their minds, it would be fucking amazing, because there's the math going on and like people talking to each other.
The magic away, because you tune into someone's microphone while they're watching a game, and then you just hear them be like, this guy's dead. Oh no, now he's dead. Oh no. Wow, this is bullshit. Oh, he's dead. Wow, I can't believe he messed that up. He's dead. Oh.
Solved it.
I'm excited for this group though. Even though it's all Protosses, it's going to be exciting.
Oh, it's exciting. It's exciting. If Special comes out of there, we got to do something to celebrate.
The best thing is if he comes out of this, he's still going to complain about TVP. You know he will.
Yes, he will.
All right, let's do predictions for this group. Who wins it and who's the second/third? You don't need to give an order, but the win is actually important because you get that very important higher seed.
Nobody's fucking winning this prediction, I don't think.
I'm gonna be bold, and I'm gonna say I don't vote against Patience PvP just because historically he's really been good at PvP. Maybe he still is really good at PvP. And I will randomly kind of pick Zest and Hero because I think that they're also really good.
I think Stats. Fuck, man. Stats is gonna win this group. Fuck, I don't care. This is like the least fucking.
Yeah.
I'm like 50% sure. You know what I mean? But that's the most I can possibly be for anybody here.
Well, I was gonna say, like, if you predict this group correctly, it's not because you're good at predicting. Like, it's just because somebody won.
Wait till you hear my prediction and then tell me that.
Okay.
I think stats, zest, and maybe patience.
See, you have the right players. It's going to be zest, winning, and then stats, patience are going to be the second, third. I don't know.
Wow.
Now I'm even more sure that stats winning.
I don't know, man. I feel like Hero is carrying the mantle of like SOS as that really weird Protoss player, because like No Regret was saying, like when it comes to throwing wrenches, like Hero's that guy, or at least one of them. So I think Hero would be my dark horse pick, but it's hard to root against like stats and zest.
Yeah. Okay.
I also predict that I'm wrong, by the way, guys.
Special. I want to see Special win this group. Just ridiculous map score.
That's the dream.
I honestly don't think it's that crazy to see him come out third. Like it's unlikely, don't get me wrong, but not like mind blowing. I don't think there's any world where he comes out first. My mind will be blown if he comes out first.
He can beat all these players. It's just hard.
Yeah, it's like hard.
You can't, especially PvT against Patience and Hero. Oh, you don't know what they're gonna do. They can get dirty.
Yeah, it also kind of depends on who he plays and when he plays them. You know what I mean too?
Yeah.
Like if he plays Hero and some of these other weirdos really early on, that might actually be good for him.
He plays stats, then Hero, then Creator, then Zest, and then Patience.
Not an awful. The funny thing is that's almost like rotating the weird levels, you know?
Yeah.
So it might work out for him. Though? I think it's good because you can play a normal game against a weird player and then play your build against the standard player. And then play a normal game against a weird player, then play your build. Okay. It's going to be hard.
All right. All right. I think we've done Group A to death. It's an exciting group. I've never been as excited for such a stupid looking group as this one. Okay. Group B. This is going to be Neeb, Dark, Maru, Leenock, Trap, Lambo. Damn, that is an insane group.
I was so upset.
That has to be the group of death.
No, okay.
And then you look at that's insane though. You think
I just looked at the rest of the groups. That's the group of death.
Really?
That is the group of death. You don't
look at Group C. Look at Group C and tell me that Group B is the Trap.
Are you kidding me?
Serral, Innovation, Rogue, Solar. Like that's pretty fucking scary too.
What? My favorite part about Artosis predictions is that, or any show that involves these, is like there's like a general consensus. And I look at it, and I always think to myself, how is Dan going to find a way to predict something that's not what is totally obviously the group of death? Happens every time.
You guys actually think Group C is the group of death?
Everybody thinks Group C is the group of death.
I think Group B is the group of death.
Okay,
no. Okay, wait, I want to hear why.
Okay, all right.
Guys, who's the best Terran in the world?
Serral.
Maru?
Serral. What? It's Maru.
He is undefeated with Terran in the last.
Maru, we have the best Terran in the world, okay? And then we got Dark, who is obviously top 3 Zerg in the world, okay? Mm-hmm. But then you got these two guys that are so unbelievably underrated with Trap and Leenock. Okay. If Trap was in Group A, I'd be like, yeah, Trap's getting out of this group. Okay. Because he's such a good Protoss player. And I know E-Mini in the chat's going to agree with me on this. Leenock, don't screw with me on Leenock. Okay. You want to talk bad about Leenock? You come to my house and we'll fight. All right. And then you got Neeb, who's he's looking good right now, in my opinion. I think he's playing strongly, right?
Is he?
Well, I mean, we got Lambo in there. I don't know what the hell is going to happen with him, but
Neeb looks really good against anyone that's not a North American right now. He is floundering versus North Americans, but he looks really good versus everyone else.
Okay, so I think these groups are close, but I think it's depending on where Serral is. If we count Serral as the best Zerg player in the world, and Rogue is maybe the second or third best Zerg player in the world, then I would say Group B or C is probably scarier. It just depends on if we put Dark as the first. If we put Dark as the first, then Group B is definitely scarier.
Yeah, I think it's hard to kind of do a
And also,
power
where
ranking.
the fuck is Neeb? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like Neeb could be the best fucking Protoss foreigner, and he could be really sick, or he could just be like, third or fourth, and fall out of group.
Well, based on Showtime's Group A, I think Neeb is taking that
mantle. Yeah, but is the mantle like falling apart and shit right now, or is it like one of those sick mantles?
Gosh, I think Neeb is good right now, and this group is like.
Also, Gumiho
it might be
and
the
Solar,
most exciting group. It's actually got a good ratio.
A mix, yes. I think I would be way more excited for Group B, but I do think Group C is harder. It's a scarier group.
Well, we'll talk about Group C in a minute. Let's talk about how hard Group B is. Come on now.
I'm also really excited to see how Lambo handles like the ZVZ versus Leenock and Dark. I really want to see Lambo ZVZ there.
Yeah, I think this is a make or break group for Lambo. Like, I think it's already super impressive that he was able to qualify this far. But this is where, if he wins, like, this is the moment where we think, okay, Lambo is actually in the conversation for like these like really, really top Zerg players in the world, because it's the hardest litmus test you can get.
I feel like we talk over Lambo a lot as like one of the better Zergs too. So this would be like where you can't really ignore him if he gets out of this group.
Yeah.
Especially for the first proper event besides the WCS online thing. Like, this event would really rocket him forward in WCS points, and it would set him for a really good course to be BlizzCon again.
Yeah. If he gets out of this group, for sure. Like, if you can get out of this group, you are a round of 16 quality GSL contender.
Yeah.
Like, that's no doubt. These are.
I agree.
Like, I would say all the players other than Lambo in this group are of that quality already, right?
Yep.
Yes.
This group is a pretty big question mark too, though. I'm really, really excited for it. I'm really happy Dark is in this group too. Like, there's so much Dark and Maru in the same group with.
That's crazy.
Neeb, like, yeah.
It's gonna be, well, Maru's winning the group. We all know that, right? Does anyone disagree with that statement?
I agree.
Yeah.
Robbie?
Yeah, I'm like 85% with you on that.
85. Well,
who would be the other person?
It's like it's 3%.
It was not even specifically that I'm like, this person's gonna win over Maru. It's more just that, like, I feel like every once in a blue moon, Maru gets like really cute, and then we see him like lose or drop stuff, and that's important.
Like too many nukes and shit.
Yeah, it's like he'll just get like too cutesy with proxies or something, and it's like, in a normal tournament, it's like, fine, whatever. It's best of fives or something. You're not knocked out. In a round robin, dropping maps matters. So I'm like, maybe.
I think the only person who could possibly take this over Maru would be Dark, and I wouldn't be crazy to make that prediction. But I feel like Dark around, like, why, like, as a circle, like, a player has more weaknesses in him than Maru, like, along the way.
Yeah.
So I just feel like Maru is statistically probably more likely to get first than Dark. But Dark,
I'm like 85% with you. Which is
where's the 15%? Where is it? Where's the 15%? Where's it at?
It's in my boy Neeb. Okay. My boy.
Okay. Throw that 15% out the window then, because.
Well, that's the thing. Is like, nobody really knows. Like, I've heard like a lot of different things, but especially I think for all of the foreigners that qualified here, we just haven't seen them play in a while, so who knows?
Who else do you guys think gets out of here? It seems, talking about how this is the group of death and everything, suddenly I'm like, I feel like it feels like Dark must get out of this group.
Dark and Maru for sure.
Oh yeah.
Must. He's just in such good form at the moment. But then I look at these other guys, I'm like, oh no, they're third place. No one can even get third place because these four sudden death combat forever. Like, Neeb, Leenock, Trap, Lambo.
And Leenock has a really tough start. He plays Dark first and then Maru second.
Dude, here's something for you. I think Trap is the most likely player to beat Maru in this group. Yeah. So like suddenly I'm like, ooh, Trap actually could do really well in this group.
I feel like the Dark Maru Trap is not a bad prediction.
Yeah.
Looking at this group, I get the same feeling that I got when I saw like a BlizzCon round of 8. And like the way the bracket's set up, like it's supposed to be Cyril Maru in the final, and then Maru just falls over. He falls down a hole. And I think that there's definitely the possibility to look at this group and see what's supposed to happen on paper, and then have something totally different. Because like Dan wants us to all believe, this is full of really strong players.
Yeah.
I mean, definitely is full of strong players.
Does anyone think a foreigner's getting out of this group, Robbie?
I believe in my boy Neeb, Dan.
I would,
but only
love-
15%.
It
It would be this would be like if I could have a group that I would want everyone to get out and like there's no skill in it. Dark Maru Neeb would be like amazing for me, and I love Leenock too. But I'd love to see Neeb get into like the actual brackets because I think that's where he does really well.
I accept your apology.
You talking about Leenock?
Yeah.
I mean,
I
this
love
is the
Leenock, but
He's amazing.
if
is
I
the
had to
other thing.
pick, like this is a fucking tough pick. Okay, Leenock and Neeb, I love both of them. So fuck.
It's a crazy group.
Well,
It's an exciting group.
here,
I'm
I'll settle
very-
this for you, Jake, because Dan has cursed Leenock. He hasn't cursed Neeb
Ooh.
yet.
True. That I mean that
I'm
we'll
sorry.
see how
Dan.
that goes, right?
All right. Well, on that note, let's go to Group C, which you guys think is the group of death. Let me read it off. We got Korean GSL Terran champions in Innovation and Gumiho. Then we have Korean Zergs, Rogue, Solar, and Ragnarok. And then this little Finnish guy named Cyril.
This is
That's
one Terran away from
It's a
being
pretty crazy group. It's a pretty crazy group.
this is one Terran away from being the Group A of Zergs. Like
Yeah,
it's
that's-
only one Terran. Yeah, I think this group is arguably harder than Group B in player level, skill level.
It's very, very hard. I think that Solar has had a lot of ups and downs lately, and Ragnarok is on the rise, but a little bit underrated, I think, right now, which makes this seem a little bit weaker. Also, here, let me just go out and say it.
Whoa.
Cyril, Rogue, and Gumiho are getting out of this group. Inno is not making it to the next round, fellas.
I can see that.
I think innovation's too good, like as a circle again. You know,
I like you talking about everyone as a circle.
because there's weaknesses. You know,
Yeah.
other players have weaknesses. I think innovation is just too good all around to not make it out of this group. I think Gumiho is more likely to falter with this many Zerg players than innovation is.
My thing is like it's round robin, right?
That's
So it's
fair.
not just can you beat another player, it's can you beat every other player. And I think that specifically that tests how like solid a player you are. And I think that watching Gumiho play in the qualifying stage like didn't give me that impression. But it's weird because there's players that qualified from the open bracket. You know what to expect from them, you know, better than you know what to expect from these players that, you know, were seeded into this group.
The last time I predicted Rogue, I had to eat a shoe, so I'm not sure about this one. I feel like Cyril Innovation are clear cut, and Solar. I mean, I want Rogue, but fuck, man, I'm traumatized now.
You think
Maybe
that innovation is just clear cut because as a whole, he's
yeah,
very
yeah.
strong?
As a whole, I think he overall will do better than Gumiho, and I think either he doesn't make it or he
Here's the
comes
thing.
out. But
I think that he's going to beat Ragnarok and maybe Solar, and I think that Cyril, Rogue, and Gumiho are all going to beat him. So that's kind of how I'm getting Gumiho out of this group.
I think innovation
Wow.
probably beats Gumiho as well.
Oh, I think you're wrong.
Well, we'll see, I guess.
All right.
I think
Does Cyril win the
Gumiho should lose to almost all of these Zergs, I feel.
What?
Except for maybe
You
Ragnarok.
just don't like his style. Anyone who says Gumiho should lose to all these Zergs, did you see him play his GSL group? He is looking very good right now.
But I've just been watching him in this tournament specifically.
He's
I don't know.
jet-lagged.
We'll
He has
see.
the extra
We'll
day.
see, right? This is a hard group to call as well, and I wouldn't be surprised if Gumiho does make it out. I wouldn't be like, well, fuck, how did this happen? You know?
Is Cyril favored to win the group?
I think so.
Yeah, I mean, I think the most impressive part about this is watching Cyril play every game and just wondering if he's going to lose. Because I don't know what it looks like when Cyril loses anymore.
Yeah, it's
I
hard to
don't
remember.
think he's favored to win this group.
Whoa.
Don't at me. Don't at me. Okay, I
Well, you
actually
gotta
don't think
explain
he is.
yourself at least.
I feel like there's enough CVZs here that chances are he will lose at least one ZVZ here. And I think Innovation probably has a better chance of just streaking through than Cyril does.
You think
like
that
when we okay, for example, wait. So
this game against Sue.
Here's my reason. Shh. Let me think out loud. Okay, my brain is too fast for words. If you look at Montreal, where we saw Cyril ZVZ go through, he went 3-4 against 3-4 or 2-3 or 3-2 against every Zerg player. Like it was fucking close every single time.
That's true.
And I don't think he's gotten better than he was last year already. I feel like he's, if not gotten worse than he was at his peak. So, I'm ready to be proven wrong. Don't get me wrong. I just feel like these Zerg players have a better chance of killing him than the players that he was playing against in Montreal. Like Rogue and Solar totally can do it. And if he drops 2 series to Rogue or Solar, then that's pretty much it for being first place already.
Okay.
Would you eat his shoe if Cyril lost a series?
What about like a really small one, like
what about like a sandal?
Yeah. That's a nice.
I'm done eating shoes.
What about like a flip flop?
Finish before he started. Okay, I think we've done Group C pretty well. Any other comments on Group C?
Well, I mean, we're moving on to Group D, but we already know that Group C is the group of death. So
don't know about that, bro. Okay, let's jump to Group D. We have Bunny, TY, Euthermal, Alteran, Scarlet and Sue as Zerg, and Deer as Protoss.
This is arguably probably the easiest group, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's
this
still
is a good group for Scarlet. This is a really good group for Scarlet.
I agree with that. I think that TY, without any shadow of a doubt, is coming out of this group. It is impossible to keep him out of this group.
Yeah.
He broke all his fingers, he was still getting
You could make him play like larva style with his feet and he'd still get out of this group.
Yeah, I think TY and Deer are going to both get out, in fact. And then I leave it to Scarlet Sue, and I think either of them is going to come out.
I mean, Bunny's been looking pretty solid. Everybody sleeps on this guy. I feel like even I do. I received 3-paragraph email one time when I cast Bunny in Ballistic Sprawl a while back from somebody who was very excited to tell me all the reasons why I was a terrible bias caster for not predicting Bunny to win every tournament. And
Has he won any tournaments? Maybe
no, he hasn't won any tournaments since then. So while there is that statistic in my favor, I don't know. I think it's not necessarily cut and dried, but I would say kind of the counterpoint to, yes, there are players that are guaranteed to get out of this group is like, I kind of look at Euthermal in this group like I look at, maybe Ragnarok in Group C or maybe Special in Group A. It's like, well, like, wow, it's going to be a real uphill battle.
I don't think Bunny has any chance. Like to sugarcoat it. The way Bunny plays.
Yeah.
The way Bunny plays ZVT specifically too, it's very easy to counter it. He likes to do these like big drops, and Scarlet knows him extremely well, and I don't see that happening. And Sue as well, like I don't see that happening. And then the other people are just monsters, right? Like Deer versus Bunny, I don't see that happening. And that's already 3 people. TY versus Bunny, I don't see that happening either, right? Possible. Euthermal versus Bunny, I would give it to Bunny, but even that's pretty hard. I think the clear cuts are definitely TY and Deer, and like third position is fucking proper question mark right now.
Yeah. I think that there is a slight chance of a Euthermal upset too. I think that we haven't seen him doing super well lately, but he actually is one of these. Like, there's a reason why he's been the best European Terran for 100 years. He's just he is right there. Remember Katowice last year, where he's just like bashing innovation off stream? It was just like, we didn't even think to put that match on. He's just like,
Euthermal's actually really good player for round robins. Like his playstyle is very different, and it's hard to prepare for him. And if you play multiple people in a row, there's a good chance you can upset him. I'd give him a better shot than Bunny. Still,
he's just spiky, so he's hard to predict. Like sometimes
he's also extremely emotional.
Sometimes you're
like he can tilt himself out too if he loses to any of these people. So hopefully he doesn't get in his own head. Like I feel like he's a lot better than he actually he puts himself in a worse position mentally than he actually is. You know what I mean? So like as soon as he loses the series, he'll just start psyching himself out.
Yeah.
And hopefully he doesn't do that to himself. I think the biggest question is Sue versus Scarlet.
Yeah. That's definitely the one I just keep on going back to and looking at. I'm like, it might actually just come down to their head to head or something too.
Yeah.
Or
like, I can't predict either. I think
off deer or something like that.
Yeah, this is gonna be a really interesting group. I'm happy with the racial distribution and the player distribution too.
Yeah.
I think it's gonna be really fun to watch.
Yeah, I think B and D are the very exciting groups because of that good racial distribution.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like especially because Deer had such strong PvP in the qualifying groups, but now there's no other Protosses here. So it's like, okay, well, we get that you can win that matchup, but like, can you win all the others too?
Yeah.
I think Deer PvT has got to be the MVP here, right? If he's getting out of this group.
Yeah.
But the way he plays PvT, I can't see him beating TY. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, TY looks so solid. If you watch TY play like
for years, he's been the man.
All these like Terran players aren't comfortable with playing out the games against Protosses. Like they're always like, I got to kill them before they get 3-3. TY doesn't give a fuck. Okay, TY will play the game as long as he goddamn pleases. Like he will go up to 100 workers. He does not give a shit. He'll have battle cruisers teleporting. He doesn't care. And like this is like the most terrifying thing if you're a Protoss, because you're like, I just got to defend and win the game, right? TY is like, hell no. You got to get ready for this fucking weird ass late game that I'm going to throw at you.
And like, don't forget, like that's actually something that TY is always ahead of the curve on. Like, remember when late game TVZ was unwinnable and he was just sieging and unsieging.
He doesn't give a fuck.
And going ghosts and like 2016. I'm talking. He was. He's just an unbelievable late game player. And as we get out of this kind of group phase and just talk about the overall tournament in general, like I see him up at the top 4 easily. Like obviously we've seen him at the end of Katowice before, and in fact even win it a couple of years ago. But like I think that there's almost no one here that can really take on Maru except for TY. You know?
Yeah. TY just needs to play it out too. Like if he gets to that point where he's like delaying it long enough to the point where like his multitasking, his macro just overwhelms players, he can beat anybody. Like,
yeah. What do you guys think overall for this tournament? Who is going to make a sick run that normally maybe you wouldn't say, or like is this just a Cyril victory? What are we looking at?
I want to say Dark.
Dark?
Really?
Yeah, I want to say Dark
You're
goes really far.
such a Dark fan. It's so crazy.
I love Dark's playstyle. Okay, I love it. And I think with the current
you love Dark more
meta,
than I love fucking Lenok and Nesty.
I think with the current meta, Dark is favored to do aggressive shit, and I hope that he does really well and goes really far. We'll see.
Okay. Dude, I'm just feeling TY in general for a very long time. Like I can see like a Cyril maybe beating him, a Rogue maybe.
Yeah.
But like even against Maru, like even that third GSL championship Maru won, I was saying that TY was going to take him out. And then he was winning that final battle. How the hell did that go sideways? But no, I don't know. I just kind of I have my eye on him and like obviously Rogue, Cyril, Maru.
Yeah. I think you have to say Rogue, Cyril, Maru are probably contenders to win any tournament. So beyond the easy answers, when you dig down to like maybe the mystery question mark players, my thing is like when we went through Group B and talked about how like if Lambo gets out of that group, it's like, damn, this guy is so good. I really want to see Lambo, Scarlet, like one of the non-Korean representatives, like really make a sick run. And I think they both have a ton of potential to do that. So
I kind of want all the foreigners just get absolutely destroyed. Like,
so then they all fly back to Korea to live in your house?
Because there's just so many foreigners where there's cocky ass like, oh, it's the gap is so small now. Like I could just fly over to I just demolish people on Korean ladder. These Zerg players don't know what they're doing. Like and then you go and see them in Katowice and they just get demolished. It's like, well, who's talking now, huh?
There has been a lot of talk about that. That is something I did want to bring up. What were you saying, Fear Dragon, though? I don't want to.
I was just going to say, I think one of the foreigners is at least going to make round of 8, if not round of 4. Besides Cyril, I think Cyril's going to win.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, it's a fine bet. I think no one can argue that much. But yeah, the gap, as it's called, right? The gap is closing and all this stuff, and it's like, yeah, in a certain way, but you can't say all that just based off of one player, right?
Mhm.
has made a gap between him and the Koreans at this point, right? But like we're seeing the maybe underperformance of foreigners in general against Koreans here at Katowice. Is this
Yep.
something that we're going to continue to watch going forward? I know that we only have a few tournaments where they really play each other at the high level. This GSL versus the World, BlizzCon. But what do you guys think about that actual difference?
I feel like the format kind of plays to Koreans being so dominant. You know what I mean?
Why
like
is
if we give foreigners more time, where it's like putting Neeb in GSL, and he can practice against certain players and he can prepare for certain players. It's a bit different, but Koreans and just all around, like if you fly them out to an event and have them play and there's no preparation time, they just do so much better because they don't have as much intel necessarily on them. You don't play them on ladder. They're in their own little bubble where they practice and they do this shit and they're they're crazy.
What
and
you're
they fly over.
Think that you're saying that the Korean metagame is in general better?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying?
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Yeah, because that's the only way that what you're saying would really work. To make this clear for everyone, like practicing.
Doesn't it go both ways? It doesn't go both ways.
Yeah, it's like there's always a meta that's better than other metas. Like that is actually like a true thing. And different matchups can go in very different directions that we've seen. Like remember when Neeb won Kespa Cup, right? The PvP meta for the foreigners was actually better than the Korean one at that point, and Neeb won because of that.
Another reason why it doesn't go both ways, chat, is because we're fractured as a community in the foreign scene where we've got North America and Korea or Europe split, as well as there's underrepresentation of Terrans in both regions, whereas in Korea it's not a problem. So it just doesn't.
Yeah, and I think that helped Serral as well because we have an underrepresentation of top-end Zergs in Korea. It's just like a couple of funny things, and that I think that makes players like Maru and TY even more superpowered in tournaments like this. And that's why I don't predict as hardly things like Dark and Rogue.
Right. I'm actually curious. What are you guys' predictions for Dark Horses? Like they don't even have to win the tournament. They just I just like doing better than you expect them to. And they have to be obviously a dark horse. So
does Lambo count as a dark horse? I feel like I'd say he's definitely my pick for a player that I don't expect. Maybe Patience also, just because he's got a Protoss group. Like I think if you look at Patience in like any GSL, you think, okay, round of 32, but not really round of 16, right? Or maybe even you don't expect him to qualify. But I think both in GSL and also in IEM, he's looked actually pretty good. So I'd say Lambo or Patience probably.
I was thinking Patience as soon as he said that. And I guess like a little shout out to Sue, because Sue goes on his insane streaks of being like the best. And then he goes away for a little bit just until no one thinks about Sue very much. And I realized that before this season of GSL started, that I wasn't thinking about Sue as a real contender basically at all last year. And so I was like, okay, yeah, it's time. And I think based on what I've seen of his play recently, yeah, it is. So I could see Sue doing very well, which in the grand scheme of things might not surprise you, but maybe in the last year, you'd look at that and be like, oh, wow.
I want to say creator, but like I feel it's really hard for him to get out of this group too. But if he does, I think he's got a pretty good position of doing better than we expect him to. I mean, honestly, he's already done better than we expect him to.
He certainly is a dark horse.
Yeah. What do you think, Ravi?
I would say from each group, like Patience, Neeb, Gumiho, and Scarlet. But I feel like the Gumiho one's a little bit weird because it's like I think the
Gumiho's definitely a dark horse. Let's be real.
Gumiho's in great shape, guys. He's in great shape now,
like seriously. I think Gumiho's gonna do well.
I feel like I have to say that Trap's a dark horse just because GGE Mini will give me crap about it later on. So maybe that.
Okay. All right. I think we've pretty much done it as far as Katowice goes. Good talk. Good talk there. All right, we're gonna jump, I guess, to the roundtable discussion. There's one little thing I did want to talk about briefly here.
Okay.
So it was posted on Reddit. Port Alexander's minerals. We need to talk about this for a moment, right?
Yeah.
So the third bases on Port Alexander is it 1,800 a patch?
Yeah, it's insane.
So regular patches, we have half that are normal and half that are less. That's what Legacy of the Void kind of brought in, so that we expand more and things. It kind of spiced the game up, made it very interesting. But 1,800 a patch, right?
Yeah.
That's pretty insane. And we've been playing Port Alexander for quite some time, and nobody noticed. First off, how, with an entire scene of professional players that play all the time, how did nobody notice? First off. And second off, the fact that nobody noticed that there is an absurd amount of minerals at one of the bases that you're taking basically every game on a map that's been out for a while now. If anyone who balance wines, the next balance winer that's a pro gamer, we need to shoot out of a cannon into the sun. Because you don't even know how many minerals are on the fucking map. How can you balance wine?
That's
Please,
the thing.
hear your guys' thoughts.
You just assume that things are away, right? You assume that destructible rocks are the same on every map. You assume that the sight radius of, you know, like Zelnaga Towers is the same. I don't know. I'm just making up things at this point. But then you kind of do the same thing with minerals, because, you know, there's gold minerals and you're like, okay, well, I get it. One of those is different than the other. But you never kind of question whether or not they're different than the other, you know, than themselves on other maps. And so I can kind of see how it kind of falls through the cracks. Maybe sometimes with map rotations, you're just trying to get used to a lot of maps all the time. But no, you're right. I expected more from the pro gaming community. And in truth, credit to Trumpet SC2 is the guy that posted that thread on Reddit for finding that out when nobody else could.
Yeah, this doesn't actually surprise me that much. Like, Printf was in the chat and mentioned, like, beam attacks have been in the game since literally the beginning.
Yeah.
It took us 8.5, almost 9 years to figure out that there was a bug where if you killed a unit, it immediately did basically an extra tick of damage. That has been in the game for 9 years, and it took us 9 years to figure it out almost. Like, I've seen pro players, like, also realize 3/4 of the way through, like, a ladder map season stuff way back in the day. It would take them like 75% of the entire ladder map season to realize, oh, if you spawn in this location, some of your mineral patches are actually further than the other location. You're actually just mining slower. It's like, oh, it took us like 3 months to figure
that
out.
is a lot more annoying than this, to be fair. Like,
yes.
Those are something you notice immediately, and then you can't unsee it, and you're just like triggered because you don't have as many resources as you should.
Yeah.
This is completely different. I understand why people don't see it as much. Then normally when you get to 3-base, unless you're doing a weird 3-base all-in where your 3rd base is not mined out yet, it just doesn't really happen. Like, we don't get to points where we're like, wow, this base has more minerals than it should have. Like, at that point, you're talking about your main being mined out, your natural being mined out, and now we're going towards the 3rd base being mined out. Like, at this point, it doesn't really matter. Like, we don't really notice this difference.
Well, I'm
in a house full of pro gamers.
I see some rationalization occurring right here, where you're trying to explain away why pro gamers haven't noticed that. But this is, it struck me as soon as I heard about this. I just kind of started to laugh. I think Rapid might have just linked me on.
Well, I told it to you, and you did this like jaw drop open, because it's one of those things like it can't be that way, right? It's just too ludicrous to be true, but it is. And I'm just like wow, it's definitely a rarity. And I think that, while we're giving pro gamers a bunch of crap for this, like, they do find out a lot of like the subtle nuances every time you watch Dario do something creative. I'm just like, okay, well, it's cool that they are actually out there finding out all this stuff. But every once in a while, they miss some stuff.
Well, it's just, I don't know. When I heard this, it seemed so crazy to me that something that's meaningful. There are 2 bases that you can take as a 3rd, right? That is very meaningful, the difference between those 2 bases.
I agree. I agree 100%.
I actually don't even know which 3rd it is. I assume it's the one above and below the Nat, but
I'm not saying that it's not a big deal, by the way, just in case everybody knows. It's definitely a big deal.
The amount of balance whining that we all listen to and see from pro gamers, and then they don't know how many minerals are on their 3rd base. I'm just like,
I mean, I don't know why people would expect there to be a difference in minerals.
You don't need to expect it, but it's like,
unless you're clicking on your mineral patches,
help you to know things like what 3rd base has over twice as many minerals as the other 3rd bases, and how to beat things that you normally find to be in balance.
I think
I
what
don't know.
Dan's point is, Jake, is that
I get his point.
there are
Don't
there's
mansplain
so
me, Ravi.
many-
Don't mansplain
there
me.
are
I know.
so
Okay.
many
Well,
complaints
are
about
you-
the subtleties screwing them over, and it's like, well, you didn't notice something that's actually not so subtle in terms of its impact.
Huh. Are you dansplaining
Yeah,
again?
don't mansplain me.
I'm dansplaining right now.
There you go. For me, I kind of looked at this, and I remember when they introduced gold minerals in Wings of Liberty. When StarCraft 2 came out, they're like, we're going to have gold minerals. And everybody's like, what are you doing? Because that's a huge change. And I think in Wings of Liberty, obviously, it was used to dubious effect. But when I see things like 1,800 minerals on these patches, gold minerals were like they mine faster, but they also mine out really quickly. It's like there's a lot of cool things you can do with the rate at which you get resources based on the location and the riskiness of bases. And some maps have kind of played around with this. I actually think it's really cool, and I would love to see it be used as an intended mechanic in the future. It just seems a little bit unintended and accidental here.
Yeah. Well, it's just something I wanted to bring up. The $4 minerals.
Thanks,
I thought
Dan.
That was pretty hilarious and crazy. Okay.
Yeah, nobody knew about that, by the way. Like, not a single pro gamer was like holding on to it and being like,
Yeah.
this is for
Yeah.
me. Like,
Read the
nobody knew.
BlizzCon, this is how
Okay.
I win. No.
Well, you know what's really funny is I want to go back to all the Port Alexander games where Protosses very quickly sent a probe over to block the hatchery, and then the first hatchery that they made was at the third with the more minerals. Because suddenly the Protoss is like doing something that's like good for this turn.
Oh my god, that would make such a good meme video. Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Wow.
What if you block that base and they have to take the other third though? That would be fucking real bad, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, you take that as your third. Okay, let's move on.
Okay.
GSL Code S. Last week we already went over the actual results, but we did have the group selection phase after the Pylon show was over last week. So let's just quickly go over these groups for the round of 16. Okay, Group A. And we'll do this a little bit quicker because I know we just went over 4 gigantic, massive groups with mostly the same players.
No.
Anyways, in GSL, which of course come back March 8th, we have Group A. It is Maru, Impact, Bunny, Patience. Thoughts on the group?
Well, I know you guys may not watch GSL when there's group selections. Everybody's like, is this being casted? Are there games later? I'm just like, no. First of all, shout out to Brian, the translator, who did the entire show all by himself.
He's great.
That was actually really sick. And one of the things he actually did a great job on is kind of interjecting little like tidbits of pro gamer like info that he had heard here. But the true mastermind of this group was Maru. If you're unfamiliar with the way that the group selection works, the player Maru got to as kind of the final boss make the final swap of players, and he created the sickest group for himself here. So if Maru doesn't get out of here, he is the architect of his own demise, because he deliberately picked a group with what he thought, and I think what everybody else thought, were the 3 weakest players in there.
Looking at the group, I mean, I am kind of an Impact fan. I think he's very strong, but I definitely think that Maru is way too much of a match for Impact. Like, I think this is his weak matchup anyways, Impact's ZVT. But yeah, I look at this, and the only player that has any shot, in my opinion, against Maru is Patience there. So it's like 100% Maru getting out, and then probably, I mean, it could be anyone, but maybe Impact. I don't know. It seems like a super weak group, though.
I think they're unlikely, but possible,
Yeah.
Like, Impact is it's doable to upset Maru. Like, he plays a really weird, aggressive style. It's doable, not expected.
Yeah, it seems quite difficult, though.
I just saw this group and I was like, wow, Impact, Bunny, and Patience must be so happy, because even if they don't upset Maru, the people you have to beat to get second place in the group is compared to the others. I'm like, yeah, I can beat these guys. This isn't a problem.
Yeah, that's true.
I kind of wish that there wasn't this whole like switch thing for the winner of the previous season. I feel like it makes your group really, potentially a lot easier than it should be. Like, if you're Maru, I think being able to pick first and already be able to pick like one of the easier players is already a pretty good buff to have. And then like being able to swap it really mind fucks people. Like, it really mind fucks people.
Well, what it's I think supposed to do, and I think it's good in this way, because esports can't just consistently be a perfect test of skill. for that given day. Like that's not as exciting. Like the defending champion just should always be able to make it to the round of 8.
Yeah.
You know, it's because they get kind of an easy group in round of 32. If they're a champion, they're getting out of that. And then like they get to rig the group, the round of 16 group in their favor. So it's kind of nice, right? Because then you get to see best of 5s out of them. And it's like they get a real chance at a second one. I think that's, if we didn't have rules like that, it would be a lot harder to see things like Maru 3-peating and stuff.
Yeah.
I just feel like the way the group selection plays out, where you're the first to pick already, you pick someone like one of the easiest players, you'll get the first pick. So you're going to get the easiest player. All the 4 players are seated already. And then you already kind of have a pretty decent chance of getting out if you're the champion, I feel. But being able to swap one of the harder players out of your group and into somebody else's is even, like, it's even more massive. Like to the point where we're talking about Group A possibly being the weakest group with the champion in it, you know?
Yeah.
Well, that should be the case. That's how seeding generally works anyways, right?
Yeah.
Sure.
It's like, to clarify also, there's when people, this actually really bugs me because I don't feel like there's a standardization on this. When people say a group is strong or weak, there's like a wishy-washiness of people saying like the overall average skill level is really close versus the there are really strong players. Because you, like, some people would say, like, if I stick Cyril and Maru in a group together, it's immediately a strong group. But then if I have, like, I don't know, Poke Bunny and X Kawaiian in the group, I'm like, is it a strong group? We already know who's going to advance out. But then it's like, you could also have that group next to another group that's like 4 mid-level, but all like really evenly super duper close players. And to some extent, you could say that's a really close group. Is it a strong group? Like, people are wishy-washy on what they mean by strong, I think.
What was the final swap? Do we know?
Yeah, it was Hero swapped out for Bunny, if I'm not mistaken. Maru, he's the way
I like
that
how
they
Impact picked Hero.
it was a masterfully executed. And actually, Brian, the translator guy, is dropping some 6 stats in there. He mentions that, sure, if Maru gets out, then cool, but whoever else gets out, it'll be their first time in their entire careers making it to round of 8 of GSL.
Oh, that's cool.
Nice
love them. Damn.
Well, let's go to Group B for this. So Group B, Dark, Hero, who of course you just mentioned got swapped for Bunny, so I kind of feel for Dark right now. That's a lot harder than his initial pick. Cure, Deer.
I mean, I feel like this is still a good group for Dark. He's got to be comfortable. Like, I feel like
favored.
Hero also put out a lot of information on him when he played against Scarlet. You know what I mean? Like, if Scarlet just tweaked the way she played, she could have easied that series. So I feel like as long as if Hero can switch it up, then maybe. But at this point, Dark is looking very strong in this group. Deer, I would say, is the highest contender for that. But like, Dark ZVP is just so good. I don't see like a standard ZVP going in favor of Deer against Dark.
Well, Deer looked so good in his group, which, by the way, Dark won, right? So they were actually both in Group A together. So it's kind of funny to see them here again. But I'm actually absolutely leaning towards both of them getting out of that group.
Yeah, I agree.
Deer's just in better form than Hero at the moment.
I think Dark Deer is a pretty clear cut here.
Yeah.
There's too much information on Hero right now, is all. Like, if Hero was coming in with fucking, like, no one's seen him for 2 years and he shows up, you're like, holy fuck. This could either be the scariest Protoss player ever, or he could just get completely destroyed. Like, but there's just too much intel on him right now.
We're going to find out how good Hero is at PvP, and it's going to be so useful for Deer.
Yeah. You laugh, but like, Deer is going to have a ton of information on Hero. Like, Hero can only do so much shit for 6 PvPs.
Yeah.
Like, literally everything the Hero's ever thought of is going to be out there.
Well, you say that for Hero, but I think it's true for basically everyone. Somebody pointed out in chat that 12 out of the 16 players here are in the IEM top round. Yeah, so you're just going to get to know a lot about all of these players, but maybe specifically in Group B, Hero might have a giant target on his back.
That's crazy. 12 of the 16, and how many? Yeah. So 2 of the foreigners got seeded in too, right?
Yeah.
That's so crazy. That means only 2 people qualified that weren't in this group or in the round of 16.
Yeah,
it is pretty crazy. Yeah,
and it was the Lambo Laser slam dunk. Slam dunk of keeping it.
Yeah,
quite as bad.
The tag teamed him.
Yeah.
Okay.
Does anyone think other than Dark and Deer coming out of here? No, everyone's pretty in agreement. Okay, so kind of
Ravi,
straightforward.
are you sure? Was Neeb gonna get out of this group too?
0.7%. You know, anytime Dan predicts something, I'm like, I'm just kidding.
I was gonna say, Dan, shouldn't you be predicting something that's also totally unreasonable here too?
Look, just because sometimes you have the right opinion because it lines up with mine doesn't make what I say weird.
Hold on, Dan. Can you get your daughter's opinion?
Yeah, I know. We need the real
100% win
psychic.
So far.
Also, when she predicts it, it doesn't curse the players, so it's good.
All right. Group C, Classic Trap Innovation SOS.
Ooh,
Like a little mini Group A over here.
Yeah.
Little mini IEM Group A.
Well, it's like, do I believe in SOS now? Like, I don't know.
Oh yeah, SOS will come out of this group.
I really, really want Classic to come out because we all know Classic is going to be retiring. For military service. I just want Classic to have one last fucking hurrah. He's too good to just go out when he's about to be, going into military.
Dude, yeah.
He's too good to be eliminated in the round of 16. It would be heartbreaking to me to see him go out that way and then have to go to military. Like, I just want him to fucking destroy everybody and champion it and then go out with a big bang.
Oh,
that's what he deserves.
And it's so sad not seeing him at IEM too.
Yeah, he's not allowed. He's not allowed to leave the country.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because he's got a military service.
Oh,
yeah, they revoked his passport. So
it's so sad. Yeah, I really want him to go with a fucking bang. So
yeah. Well, first half of last year, he was the best Protoss in the world. That's like for sure. And then Stats was like, "Oh no, it's me! Everyone forget about him." And that's what happened, unfortunately.
Yeah, it was nice that he had that super tournament win too. At least that's like something, right? So I hope he gets out. I think he can too. I think this is a doable group as long as he's practicing.
Yeah, no, he could. I could absolutely see him get out of there, and you get better practice. Being
not going to Katowice. Yeah,
it's actually something people forget is you probably play the least Starcraft when you're at a tournament. You play more every other day than when you're at a tournament. Obviously, the airplane would be the least, but in general, that's where you start falling behind. Yeah, I'm kind of feeling Classic SOS.
I mean, it depends on how good innovation is, both in IEM and in this group. I think a lot of people are kind of throwing up some question marks. I mean, I was walking by that wall in the GSL studio. It has a lot of innovation photos on it, so it's hard to count him out. But like,
SOS just flew his ass home immediately, and he's just practicing on the ladder right now. Like it would be worth it for him to just fly home immediately and just start practicing.
I think everyone wants to when you lose in the bracket, you just do want to go home for sure.
Well, this is his home turf.
All right. Any other thoughts on Group C?
I wouldn't be surprised by anyone making it out of this.
Yeah, it's kind of a toss up, this group.
I think they're actually all pretty closely skilled too. Like all of them can beat all of them,
Absolutely. Agree with
That's
that.
cool. I'm really interested now to see how this group plays out.
The only guy I'm really kind of confident in is SOS. Just, he's SOS. What can you do? If you ever bet against him, you're so stupid. All right. Let's go to Group D. This is my vote for Group of Death, by the way. You guys going to talk trash on me on that one?
No, perhaps? I think that's pretty objective.
All right. TY, Gumiho, Sue, Rogue. Crazy.
Yeah, I don't even know. How do you pick this? Like, I think TY and Rogue are maybe favorites, but like, how do you vote against Sue? Gumiho's like super weird. He can absolutely take games off of any of these guys.
When was the last time Sue lost in a group stage of GSL?
Oh, he does. He loses in group stages.
Yeah,
it's the stat is when he hits the round of 8. It's like 5 out of 6 times he went to the finals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Or no, 6 out of 7 times he went to the finals. That's what it was. I think it's crazy.
I mean, my biggest question mark is Rogue too. So Rogue can be so good, or he can just lose too. Like TY, I feel is a clear shot at first here. Rogue is question mark right now for me. But I think those two are probably the most likely still.
I think this whole shoe drama actually screwed up.
I'm scarred, man. I'm actually scarred.
It actually did, because like,
I can't predict him anymore.
Rogue didn't get worse, guys. Like he
lost in a home story cup group where 5 people get out of it. Okay, 5 people. I can't.
Sometimes.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't happen.
Well, I did once.
Yeah, the one single time.
It's the exception that proves the rule.
No, I can't. I can't predict him.
Right.
It's gonna be TY and Sue.
Hey Jake, did you know that Rogue got knocked out of that group more times than you've eaten a shoe?
He did. For now.
I'm just enjoying all the photos that
I'm
Cobra
surprised
Vibes-
Jeff wasn't here, and we've brought it up more times.
Yeah.
It's happened somehow.
Hey, I said I was going to.
It's okay. We'll forget about it in 3 or 4 years.
Yeah.
Or I'll eat a shoe. Who knows?
So, which do you think people forget about first? Rotterdam taking off his shirt or you eating a shoe?
I'd hope Roddy taking off his shirt because it's long time ago.
I don't know. I mean,
If
shoes are forever.
If I was Roddy, I would have taken my shirt off by now. Like, I can't take the fucking comments every day.
I'm just waiting.
Like, if I was just to take a shirt off, I'd do it. And I'm like way worse looking than Roddy.
You don't know that.
I mean, what's the worst thing that could be under that shirt? Eating a shoe could literally fucking kill you. So
Yeah, I guess so.
There's literally plenty of great sugar shoe options, as Cobra was showing us on the stream. So.
Yeah, but then people are gonna be like, "Oh, I didn't eat a real shoe."
Well, yeah, but it's a one step at a time, right?
You just leave it alone, and 5-6 years from now, it'll go away.
All right.
So overall, we're looking at these groups. I think everyone agrees. Group D, Group of Death. Mario going to go out easy. Dark going to go out easy. TY going to go out easy. Everything else is a little bit more up in the air. It's a good season.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah. I think the most question mark group is Group C. Group C is like really hard to predict. I feel.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think does it for the GSL talk. We'll be back on March 8th. Got to give time for everyone to get back from Katowice, of course. We'll have March 8th and March 9th casts for that. Okay. Moving on. Got to do a little update on the ASL.
Oh boy.
Yeah, we went through the round of 8 since the last episode, I believe, actually. So the entire round of 8, we had Mini 3-1 over Com. We had Effort 3-1 over Mind. We had Rain 3-0 Harangi.
Ooh.
And we had Last 3-2 Sharp. So I know Rapid, you watched all of these.
Yeah, I was at the studio for most of them. I didn't go to the studio to watch Rain versus Harangi because I literally could not have made it to the studio. I usually get to the studio maybe like 30 minutes late, 45 minutes late. I couldn't have made it to the studio in time to watch that series because Rain turned the memory of Harangi into dust.
Yeah.
Like, it was not even, it's the most not close series I think I've seen as far as best of fives in ASL go. It was total boppening. And
it was silly.
I couldn't believe it because, like, Harangi, I felt like would at least look good in maybe one of the games, but he just fell over. And maybe this is the series that we have to sacrifice because Sharp versus Last was so sick, so good.
Yeah, that was I think our longest ASL night ever. We had 3 games out of the 5 were 30-minute plus. And so that was insanity and really good. But yeah, if you want to see a match where one player is so much just more in tune with what's occurring, Rain versus Harangi is insane. But that gives us a top 4 that is just madness. This season has been such a treat, and people were nervous with No Flash and Jadong, but it's been crazy. And if you look at who we've got, right, the current best Zerg, or you could put him with Sulky as best Zerg in the world right now in Effort, the defending champion. We have Last and Rain, who are actually the 2 players who had the best years last year. Right? Last year, the actual best years were Last and Rain. They each won a Star League, and they both were hitting top 4 and top 8 of everything consistently. Like, I actually went through and double checked that. So that's a crazy matchup. And then Mini, as of his victory over Com 3-1, I believe he has passed Bisu for the highest win percentage of Protoss for Zerg.
Wow, really?
Era. Yeah, it goes Mini, Bisu, Rain for Protoss for Zerg win percentages now, as far as like ASL and stuff.
Yeah, it's hard to calculate that because of like relative difficulty of the players that they played against. But if you just look at the numbers, that's super impressive. And honestly, Mini is like one of the few players that it's not like he's an amateur or a semi-pro. He's actually been a pro player for quite a while, but as far as like most improved player, it feels like almost every season you got to vote Mini. He's just so good. He was taking games off of Flash last season, and I don't know. He's transcendent.
Well, it's given us a really insane run of 4. Mini versus effort again. That PVZ against the defending champion and someone that you could call the best Zerg in the world. I think most Zerg players think that effort is the guy. Really.
Yeah,
it's like
I love effort, and I don't even play Brood War. I love him. I wish we had like a StarCraft 2 equivalent. He's so sick.
No, he's crazy. The way that he plans series and stuff, he's just so brilliant. It's amazing. And then like last rain, and then you look at the potential finals. We have like an effort rain finals.
Oh my goodness. I thought every single finals like keeps looking better and better and better. Like we had the Flash versus effort final, and everybody's just like, oh, this is the best final you could ever hope for. And now Flash and Jaedong and Bisu, they're not playing, so I'm not going to watch. No, this is actually the potential to be one of the closest, best.
We've got like multiple finals. We've got last versus rain and mini versus effort. Little mini finals,
And then the third place match is going to be good too, no matter who loses.
Yeah, that's very true. It's very true.
That's going to be sick. I'm excited.
Yeah. Only 4 days left of ASL, but it's spread out over some time. Like Tuesday and Sunday will be the round of 4 matches, and then the following week, I believe we just have 1 match, which will be our 3rd place match, and then we're gonna have a big live finals at the Olympic Park Stadium.
Oh, it's such a sick venue.
Eastern Seoul, yeah, it's gonna be awesome. So definitely check that out on Afrika and our YouTube there. Okay, I think we're just about ready for the Q&A. I don't have any more topics. The Patreon priority questions. Now, we are going to be changing up the way that we do the questions again, but it's going to be how you submit the questions. It's going to be through Patreon. I don't know if Cobra wants to go over that this week or next week, but we are basically you're gonna submit them in another way. And Cobra, do you want to go over that, or are we going to do that next week? Sorry.
We have a new way to submit questions. It will be on our website, and there'll be a link, and it'll be tweeted, and it'll be on Discord and everything. You just sign into this website. It'll ask for your Patreon authentication, and then it automatically limits you to 300 characters or less. And this will be mandatory by episode 42.
That's amazing.
And yeah.
I'm glad you had
Stay tuned for updates on that. Yep.
Yes. So again, thank you for everyone doing that. I think we're just trying to clean up the way that everything's done, get more and more efficient, and continue the great content that is the Pylon Show. So anyways, we're going to go to the Discord right now for our priority questions. And I actually should have vetted these first, but I'm going to start jumping around in here. We're going to do it.
All right. Boy.
I have no idea how to find these ever.
Well, here's a question. We're going to only give this to, let's just give it to Brett, I guess. From YS Origin, what do you think are your personal strengths and weaknesses in your own play? Because us being non-pro gamers, us other three, I'm like, well, I mean, our weaknesses, that could be a whole 2-hour episode. What do you think, Jake?
I think the weaknesses in my play are the fact that I'm not as receptive to the way other players play. I kind of play my own style, and it's fine. I'm playing in like a little bubble where I like to play my own thing, and I like to make it work. But at the same time, this is what makes me worse as a player overall. People can predict me, people can counter me. But if I take these little things that I develop and I give them to other players that are way more mechanically superior to me, they just absolutely demolish people with them. So it kind of suits me as a coach to do what I'm doing, but at the same time as a player, it's my downfall.
Okay, cool. Thank you for the question. Here is one from Foot4264. What do you guys have a most memorable fan sign that you've seen in a crowd at an event? And the reason why I decided to ask this one is one immediately popped in my mind, so that must be the most memorable one, right? The one that you first think of. Back at an MLG, I had announced that I was going to have a baby, and someone made a sign and it said "Fetosis," and it showed he drew like a fetus and put a headset on it. And I thought that was pretty funny. You guys have any signs that pop out in your mind as ones that you were like, wow, that was like really funny or cool or whatever?
A long time ago, there was a foreigner named Daniel who went to Pro League, and he held up that a January Marry Me sign for Brood War. January is the female coach of Hwasayang Oz, right? And so that was like, oh my goodness, this is that was really cool. And he got pretty popular in Korea on the message boards and stuff. So that always stands out to me.
Cool. All right. Good enough answers there. Thank you. Someone asks, let's see. Episode 38, I said I'll play Starcraft even if there are only 16 people playing. Is that 100% shoe eating true? It is.
Careful.
As long as my wrists work and I can see, I will be playing Starcraft. Let's see. What is one thing? This is from Scrappy Joe. What is one thing you believe to be true but can't prove?
What?
That's actually a really good question.
Yeah, that's a pretty good question.
Breathing out the weight I lose.
That can be proved, though. We have proof of that.
Tell me more. Like
Well, I'll link you some stuff. There's proof of this. It's not even that hard to prove.
There's a new documentary of all these people trying to prove the Earth's flat too, and they've got some pretty good proof too.
So, I mean, there's scientific data behind it.
I've got one. What I believe to be true that I can't prove would be that Starcraft is by far the hardest, most difficult game that's an esport. It's like I think that is slightly subjective, although I actually argue if you gave me a big enough budget and some scientists, we could get to the bottom of it and be like, here's the stats. And this is actually so much harder than all the other games.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's something that is just a complete belief of mine. And I guess there's no definitive 100% shoot.
Yeah. I would say something to kind of piggyback as a more general. My thought is that RTS players are better at RTS games than other players of other genres are at the genre of games that they play. Just a thought that I've had, because there are players that are very, very good at each individual game, and it's hard to compare, and I think that's probably impossible, despite what Twitch chat wants to argue about. But I do just think the level of talent you see from some of these guys is just so good.
I believe that there is such thing as talent within just natural talent completely outside of just practicing a lot, but I don't know how you'd fucking prove it.
Yeah,
like there has to be, right? There are people that put in the exact same amount of effort as some other people, but just some people catch things and just do things better than others. I don't know what it is.
Yeah,
it exists, but it's fucking impossible to prove.
Yeah, I would have said something along those lines as well. Something about like the whole hard work versus talent versus like the ability to learn and like the meshing of those three. And just that, like, if you had someone that works really hard, they will usually almost always beat out the person that doesn't work hard but has talent.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll hit that point, but that's a personal belief.
All right. Here's a question kind of for everyone. Very excited actually hear Rubby answer this one from Apophis. Who is the hardest player to cast? I'm going to skip out his examples and stuff, but you can take that however you want. What's the hardest player for you to cast? He's mentioning like saying time when time is playing, right? That can make it hard to cast him. First thing that jumped to my mind why I wanted to ask you, because you cast so many like NA smaller scene and stuff. Sometimes strategies can be really crazy. And a commentator can just shake their head and be like, I actually just don't know what's going on, and that's my job. Like
personally, that's actually those are the games that I have the most fun. That's the easiest time for me casting is when I have no idea what's going on, but I know it's not like unreasonable for me to not know because they are so crazy. And I also personally get a sick pleasure out of making puns on stupid names. The two answers I'd give is like the players when a super turtly defensive player plays versus a super turtly defensive player, and just 10 minutes go by and you're like, cool guys, so I'm gonna pull up the units lost tab. Nobody's lost anything so far. I'm like, okay. So it's either that or someone that has a name in like in a professional setting that I'm like, I don't think I can say this name. And I don't mean like, I don't think I can pronounce it. I mean like casting the NA player tag you're pregnant when he almost qualified for WCS. I'm like, I don't know what I should call him because it clearly says tag you're pregnant in the game.
Excellent.
Yeah.
You guys have any that are hard for you to cast?
Any name that is a word that you say a lot, like true or time, I think was the big example. That's the one that like you're casting his games and you're just like, oh, I said it again. It's like it's just so stupid the way that it just comes up in your sentences. I'm just like, okay, moving on.
All right.
I'm a caster who likes to be like analytical and not necessarily predict, but to interpret and break down what's going on. And sometimes it's fucking impossible because players just don't think with their brains. Okay? I've seen True do the dumbest shit, and you're like, this doesn't make any sense and it's fucking working. And I can't even break it down because if I break it down, I'm lying. You know what I mean? Like if I say, oh, he did this because it's like the best thing you can do in this situation. I'm like, no, it's not true. So I would say True. I would say Hero. I would say, there's a lot of these players that do this stuff. I'm trying to think of other players. Haas does things, but it makes sense. And he's a genius, so I wouldn't put him in the same list, but he's hard to predict. So SOS, yeah, SOS can do it too. Necro.
Yeah.
All right. Good answers. Okay. Here's one from Neo Steel Enthusiast. In honor of the meme lord himself as a guest. That is referring to Rapid if anyone has been living under a stone. What are the most sparkling StarCraft memes or copy pastas of all time?
I think we were kind of talking about this on GSL the other day. So there's a difference between like memes and image macros. Like image macro is like an image and you put different words over it. The classic one is like the boyfriend and his girlfriend holding hands and he's looking behind him at the other girl. That's like an image macro. So if you want to be elitist and just talk about memes, I don't know. I mean, the sparkling one was like a pretty great meme. My favorite, I guess it was kind of a meme was, you remember Zuzu Bubble from back in the day, Artosis?
Yeah.
That was like by far. That was like
that was a fun one.
That was way up there. I really appreciated that one. I don't know. You and Tasteless come up with some pretty stupid memes. I feel like that's most of where the dumb StarCraft memes come from. That the double warping in gateways animation as eyes and all of these different like pictures. That was way up there as well.
The best one's the fucking Hydra. Come on.
What is that even?
I giggle
the
at
guy
every Hydra
made a
smiling
weird Hydra. I'm like,
I giggle at every single one. I can't fucking stop myself from giggling at those.
I made that an emote in my Twitch channel.
Well, what is that even? What is the point? What do you put that
funny.
in?
It's just funny. There's nothing about it. It's just funny.
Yeah.
These are these low-hanging fruit memes. I'm talking like we need higher standards.
Look, if we're going to talk about worldly impact and propagation beyond StarCraft, then I have to go with NASL Sound Guy. People in every single game say NASL Sound Guy. That's a StarCraft.
Literally bigger than NASL.
That's actually by far the biggest contribution to esports out of StarCraft. Every single esport has NASL.
What about GG and like Good Luck Have Fun and like all
no,
these
I mean
other
like
things?
for memes. For memes.
Okay, maybe.
Yeah.
Well,
anyway, there you go.
Okay.
NASL Sound Guy's fucking great.
Yeah. A classic.
All right. We've been going a long time. I'm going to do one more question here from Condog902. Do you guys think that gamer tags in esports will disappear? Do you think if players use their actual names, there could be more mainstream success in the West?
That's a good fucking question, actually. I think I'm like, how far down are we talking? Like, I don't think it'll disappear in the next like 20, 30 years. But I think professionally, if we have like more professional like national tournaments that are more behind with like, I don't know, sports organized tournaments, I think we will see more just names, no usernames and stuff like that.
Yeah.
To be fair, real quick, the first thing that jumps to my mind, I just want to throw out there is like WWE. If you use your real name, you're a jobber, basically, right?
Oh yeah.
Like literally, you're the guy there to get beaten up, and they all use IDs, right? And that's a pretty planned out business model. Yeah, I'm not saying it's the same. It just struck me. But what do you guys think other than that?
So there's this other argument that's kind of tangential about like, is esports a sport or whatever? And I think the idea behind that is the new idea of esports versus the very old idea of, double quote sports or whatever. And obviously in sports, everybody uses their real name, announcers, players, whatever. Also the brands for a lot of sports advertisers are thought to be like very mainstream, but then you get into esports and it's like, well, we have these weird IDs, we don't know if this will be acceptable to the mainstream audience. Well, the mainstream audience is in 20 years are going to be people that grew up watching esports, so they're going to get what an ID is. Everybody's going to be so online. I think that in the future there's going to be sort of the reverse trend of more people getting IDs for branding, and maybe an equal or smaller number of actual like real names.
What I've sort of been thinking about. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Well, okay, I already gone, but I think, for example, something like if we have the Olympics running and stuff like that, there's more likely that we would be using real names, or nationwide tournaments where we have like nation representation. And we're talking like far down when esports is bigger than it is now, obviously. I think it's more likely that we do see professional people using their names. It's harder to like fuck it up. You know what I mean? Like Tag You're Pregnant is probably not a professional enough name.
Yeah.
For a TV.
One thing I guess that has occurred to me is, what about the different cultural differences, right? Like, for instance, if the league is dominated by Koreans, Korean names will be uncomfortable for Westerners, for instance, to remember, right? So that could complicate it as well.
Wasn't there a ruling by KESPA that Korean players had to have English language names?
That's
maybe
fucking weird.
Couldn't you argue the exact same thing though about the actual names of the Korean players? Like not their IDs, but their actual names being harder? Or is that what you were saying? Because you're saying like Korean names would be harder.
Yeah, like for instance, if you're trying to make it more mainstream, and then you have a bunch of Korean names being broadcast on TV in America, for instance, right? Unless you are very deep within it, that might be difficult to like keep the names straight of who's who, because culturally you don't have many people using names like that. Like a lot of names might sound similar and they're all 3 syllables for the most part and stuff like that. It's like and that you could use any 2 countries that are far away and say that, right? Where it's like, let's say that you're in Japan and you're trying to broadcast a bunch of Russian names, right? Maybe that would be difficult for them or something like that.
Yeah.
I just think the more professional it gets, the more likely we'll be using real names, just to get away from potential of having, liability names, liability usernames.
Yeah, not even in just the sense of that they're offensive or something, but like I've also wondered about if a player came up and had a name that was like clearly just some other game or something that was considered a direct competitor to the game that they play. Like, is the company that runs those tournaments going to feel weird about that? If I named myself DreamHack and I became up player or something, and then I play in IE or ESL or something, does that get weird?
There's even hits closer to home, like with Nestea. Like if you're sponsored by Monster, why the fuck do you want someone who's Nestea winning the tournament?
There's a ton of examples of that in other games, League of Legends specifically, and I think Dota had some issues with this as well, where they actually just make players change their name if it's something that's like another brand, right? So I think there was a player who was a shoe brand name, and they made him change his name because it's obviously like an advertisement. And there's actually been brands that reach out to players and ask them to change their IDs when they play in these tournaments, and obviously that doesn't go over well either. So I think that's already kind of happened. Maybe less so in Starcraft, but yeah, maybe that'll be a reason for less IDs in the future. I don't know. Some thoughts.
All right. Well, a good question. Stirring forward some discussion that will end that segment of the show. So let me just talk real quick about our sponsorships and then say goodbye to everyone. Once again, guys, thank you to all of the Patreon supporters. You guys are fantastic. We've been showing the names up here while discussing. If you want to support the Pylon Show, I think this is one of the best ways to do it for sure. And a big thanks to all of you. And there's so many more people than we can even list, because we have a lot of people supporting, 395 at the moment. So thank you guys so much. You're making the show possible. And if you want to check it out, patreon.com/ThePylonShow. Also, Matcherino. You know, I was looking at Matcherino throughout this. First off, you can type in matcherino.com/PylonShow, and it will bring you to our page. And I mean, there's all sorts of cool Is It Those stuff. We see a lot of people buying that and enjoying it. But throughout this, you know, you can click the contribute button and you can use like anything to sign in basically and type in strawberry and it gives $1 to the show. Now, 6 people have done that since the show started. Okay. 6 people. And there are about 700 people watching right now. So if all of you went and did that, that would actually make a really big difference for the show. Huh. And you can, I mean, the first time you sign into Matcherino, maybe it'll be a little bit annoying, but then from then on, when you sign in, you just click and it's like sign in with Twitter or Battle.net or whatever. So it's actually very easy at that point. And then you can do it each week and really actually help the show out in a very significant way. So that would be great if you guys wanted to go try that out and check out the stuff there if you like it. And that is a free way to do it.
Literally doing that right now. So let's see.
I can see because we're actually getting a few followers. Look at that. We've had 11 more people now. Thank you guys. I appreciate this. Continue to do so. 700 people watching the show. Yeah. Okay. And then, of course, afkt.com. It's great tea. Tea is really good for you. Yeah. Drink it, buy it, check it out. Use Pylon as your discount code. Is that everything? I think that's everything, right? Yeah. Okay. Well, big cheers to our whole staff here, Cobra, Alessandro, and others at the Pylon Show. Jeff will probably be back on next week, I think, when he's back from Katowice. But let's go ahead and say goodbye to our guests here. No regret. Thank you once again for coming on the show, one of our very regular guests.
Thanks for having me.
What are you up to? What do you have on in the future? How can people follow you, support you, etc.?
Well, there's not too much going on for me. I'm going to start up the tournaments that I do soon again. Like, we're planning on a lot of stuff. It's just in the works. I've just got back from Canada, so it's still taking a while. So follow me on Twitter for information about all that stuff. And you can follow what the Team House does. We're actually going to have a Brood War player stay with us. That's pretty cool.
That is cool.
You'll probably see stuff from him. And yeah.
Great. Thank you much. Rebby, what is up in your world? You're muted.
Recently went full-time into esports / casting or whatever for the next couple of months. So I'm streaming every single day. If you guys want to check that out, it's over on my channel, Fear Dragon 64 on all social media. And yeah, just gonna continue chugging along and making memes.
All right, excellent. Thank you for coming on once again. Rapid, your first time on the Pylon Show. I'd say it went pretty well. How are you doing? What are you up to? How can people follow you?
Well, also, I don't know. I feel like it would have been a lot of fun to have Jeff here too. I had like these sick memes planned when you messaged me, and then I realized, wait a second, he's actually casting there. So I'll have to save those for later. But yeah, thank you so much for having me on here. It was a lot of fun to kind of play and interact with chat from this side instead of being just a guy in the chat. If you want to follow the stuff that I'm involved in, I think Twitter is the most consistent place that I post. So just twitter.com/rapidcasting. I'm casting a bunch of online Brood War tournaments. BSL and STPL are the team and single player non-Korean leagues. And also you'll see me on ASL and GSL every once in a while. But yeah, Twitter, Twitch, what's the other one? Instagram, and then also been putting out a lot of YouTube content as far as like reviews for upcoming tournaments like Intel Extreme Masters or ASL, GSL, that kind of stuff too. So if you don't keep up with all the tournaments, then there's a lot of like updates for stuff like that. But yeah, Twitter is probably the place to follow everything else there. So yeah, thanks again for having me on.
Yeah. Thanks to all you guys for coming out, and just a wonderful show as always. Lots of fun. We will be back next week with the Pylon Show. I'll just be doing my regular streaming stuff. I've been super busy lately just because of the amount of GSL and ASL that we had to cram into that short time due to Katowice. But that isn't going to be like that forever. I feel like I've barely played any Starcraft in the past month, and I've had to skip some stream days for personal matters and stuff, but that will not continue going forward. I will be more regular with everything. But yeah, just make sure you tune in to Katowice and watch Jeff and everyone else commentate over there. And Thank you to everyone for the support for the Pylon Show. Please continue, and we will see you next week. Thanks for watching.